We are about to learn the story of a man who devotes everything to his slave girls. But first, we need to know about S-rank adventurers. These people are known to possess amazing strength, and they all had the ability to lead people and make the right kind of change to this fantasy world they live in. One man in particular is Volts, who is probably the best of them all. Not only can he command men to follow in his path, he can also command cute girls to give in to their intrusive thoughts as and when he pleases. Now, we move to the town of Krishna where a slave auction is being held. A slave girl has just been sold to bidder number 56 for a whopping amount of 420,000 gold coins. The bidder goes to collect his slave girl, and everyone claps for him, but this is not exactly some kind of charity event. Now, we see a demon man asking his buddy what he thinks of these slave auctions. The buddy in question is our hero Volts, and he says that he doesn't want to be asked such questions. He strikes a proud pose while saying this, so the demon man asks him if he doesn't like the concept of slaves. Volts says yes because it is not a noble cause unless the master is helping the slave. He then scolds the demon man for bringing him here despite that fact. And we also learn that his name is Jessendorf, also known as Jess. Volts goes on to say the whole idea disgusts him because he can't bear to watch auctioneers selling lives as if they are just toys. Jess, however, tells our hero that even he needs slaves, especially if he considers the kind of work he does. Since he is an adventurer, he will need some girls to take care of the house while he's out solving quests. The talk of guests makes Jess realize that Volts has done something amazing not too long ago. We learn that our hero had taken up a quest that even made the guild members shake in their boots. As a matter of fact, the one who gives out quests even considered giving up on this quest till Volts came along. We can see that it involved taking on some kind of giant monster that looked like a demon. We are then taken to a short flashback to when our hero challenged the beast all by himself. The battle did not last too long though, because all that Volts needed to do was strike the monster with his sword once. As we see Volts ripping through the demonic beast with so much ease, Jess tells us that such an achievement is worthy of being S-class. However, the demon man's words have no effect on our hero because flattery will not get you anywhere with him. The point of the matter is that Volts does not enjoy the concept of people using other people as their tools. Of course, these are very noble words, but Jess is not one to back down so easily, so he tries to tap into our hero's intrusive thoughts. He tells him that it would be quite nice to have a cute girl who would listen to every word he said. It's almost like a dream come true, even for a man like Volts. As expected of our hero, he simply yawns and says that he's bored of this chat with Jess, so he wants to go back home. The demon man tells Volts not to be like that because things are going to get very exciting from this point forward. Our hero tells him once more that he is not interested, so Jess tries to mess around by asking him if he likes to play for the same team. Volts rubbishes those claims instantly and says that he is only interested in cute women, but not by purchasing them as his slave girls. As he says this, the slave traders announce that the final item will be the last lot from today. They state that this slave girl is a bit young at 20 years old, but her womanly charms are ripe for the taking. To go with these charms, her face is even cuter, so she will be an attractive buy. Everyone in the room gazes at this beauty as she walks into the room with her curvy body. Even Volts seems to be impressed by her looks as the slave traders state that she used to be an adventurer. On top of that, this cute girl is still untouched, so that makes our hero even more interested in her. It looks like even someone as noble as Volts has intrusive thoughts running through his brain. He starts to reconsider all his life's principes as this amazing girl makes a cute face and prepares for her body to be sold to a shady master. Everyone awaits the start of the bid because they really want to get their hands on this beauty. As expected, the bidding starts at 6,000 gold coins, and what follows is total chaos. All the shady men in the room can't control their excitement as they keep trying to outbid each other. The bids reach 10,000 gold coins in no time, and Jess comments that a person can buy a house with that much money. However, the real shocker is that a new bid of 10 million gold coins has not come from any of the shady men, but rather from Volts himself. This makes Jess speechless, and even the other people in the room are not able to digest the fact that such a massive bid has been made at an auction house. Of course, our hero always looks serious, so some of the bidders think that he is some kind of scary beast. Others say that the cute slave girl will surely break if he gets her to come with him, but the show must go on, so the bid is raised for Volts, who is bidder number 39. There aren't many people who have this kind of money, but one old man gathers all the courage in the world to bid 11 million gold coins. Volts raises his bid to 13 million gold coins in the blink of an eye, and this makes Jess wonder what's going on in his mind. As expected, this turns out to be the final bid because no one seems to have the wealth to counter our hero. With that, the slave girl is sold to Volts for 13 million gold coins, and this turns out to be the highest bid in the history of slave auctions. Now that the formalities are done with, Volts final has a chat with his new slave girl, who bows down to her new master and thanks him for bidding such a high amount. We learn that her name is Eleanor. also known as L, and it looks like she has given her share of the bidding amount to her new master. Volts is a bit puzzled by this and asks L if she is fine with her decision. The slave girl simply says that since she is Volts' slave, her gold automatically becomes his possession. However, our hero is not one to be fooled so easily, which is why he asks her why she signed a contract with the slave traders in the first place. After all, even if the contract gave her 20% of the bidding amount, she would not be able to use it if she gave it away to her master. As a matter of fact, we also learn that Elle had claimed to end it all if her bidder would back down from the bid amount. The slave girl laughs with a cute face and reveals that she had initially planned to run away with the money before her master could get his hands on her. However, she claims that she would have only done this if she didn't like her master. Volts, on the other hand, seems strong and handsome, so he looks like the perfect candidate for her. Our hero is a bit taken aback by the compliments, but he tells Elle that she doesn't need to flatter him. The slave girl says that she is not trying to flatter him at all because it's the truth. Volts is glad to have met Elle's expectations, but then Elle reveals that she would like to ask him for a favor. This piques our hero's interest, so he asks his slave girl what she wants from him. That's when he receives the shock of his life as Elle asks him to end her childhood friend for her. Our hero can't even understand what his slave girl is saying, because this sounds a bit too silly, but Elle doesn't look like she's messing around. Things have taken a rather surprising turn, so Volts asks his slave girl why she has such a request. That's when Elle reveals this friend of hers had tricked her and sold her to the slave traders, which was why a girl like her was seen in a place like this. Volts figures it's a simple case of revenge, so he asks Elle how the whole thing happened in the first place. The slave girl wants to tell her master the whole story of how she was tricked, but she wants to tell him her real name first. That's when we learn that Elle's family name is Cornelia, which means that she is the third princess of the kingdom of Cornelia. Naturally, it's a bit odd to see a princess being sold as a slave, so it's time for some added context. The root of this whole mess was the succession ceremony of the kingdom because it had to do with who would succeed the throne and rule over everyone. Since Elle has two older sisters, everyone was of the opinion that the husband of the first princess should become the new king. However, the current king, who is Elle's father, had said that he will only allow her husband to succeed the throne and no one else. Of course, the princess had said no to this and ran away from the scene. Since she did not want to take part in this succession, she decided to escape the castle. This eventually led to her becoming an adventurer, and she teamed up with her friends to enjoy a life she would have never been able to live if she remained a princess. Of course, being an adventurer comes with its own set of troubles, but these days were also filled with fruitful achievements, so Elle was happy with her decision to betray the throne. Sadly, all of this changed on the day of her birthday party when she was blindfolded by her friend Mussolina, also known as Lena. She had told Elle that she was taking her to a secret present, so the princess could not move from where she was seated. As expected, Elle trusted Lena to give her a nice gift, and she was eagerly awaiting what was going to be given to her. However, the present turned out to be a slave collar that was put on her by a slave trader. At first, Elle got excited thinking that it was some kind of special gift, but soon realized that she was betrayed not just by Lena, but also by her other friends Mordred and Kurd. Naturally, she wanted to know the meaning of this, but soon realized that her friends must have been bribed by her sisters in order to ensure she would never come back for the throne. The slave trader who caught her was more than happy with this deal because girls like Elle are hard to come by in his line of business. As she was being taken away, the princess slave shouted out to her friends for help, but it was of no use. As a matter of fact, Lena only smiled at her childhood friend as if this was some kind of sick entertainment. Now, we move back to the present where Elle has become a bit emotional, so she tells her master that this was the basic gist of things. Of course, Volts is appalled to hear such a disturbing story of betrayal, because he would have never imagined royal princesses to stoop so low that they would end up bribing the friends of their own sister. Selling Elle off as a slave was a horrible thing to do, and Volts will not stand for it. Now, Elle begs her master to help her get revenge because she has to teach her sisters and friends a lesson. After all, she can never forgive them for the crimes they've committed against her. She even becomes full of tears as she says this, because she has had to go through some horrible times to get to this point. It's a blessing that she's even alive today, but that was not without the fear of being ended or violated at the slave camp. Each and every day was a scary nightmare for Elle, until our hero came along and bid a ridiculous amount of money for her. It's hard to say no to such a cute face. So Volts hugs his slave girl and tells her that he will do what she wants him to do. He just asks her not to make such a sad face in front of him again. Elle asks him if he's sure about this, but doesn't know how to address him as she doesn't know his name. Volts introduces himself properly to his slave girl and continues to offer her comfort by hugging her. It was from this point forward that our hero had promised not to let Elle wear such a sad look on her face ever again. Now, we move to the nighttime where Elle has dressed into a nice slave outfit. She asks her master how she looks, but there is only one real answer to that. Volts tells her that she's looking very cute and curvy, but also wants to know how many times she's going to make him say such things. Elle says that her master has given his slave girl such nice clothes, so it's only normal for her to ask him again and again. She thanks Volts once again for his kindness, but our hero says that he likes to see her in such clothes, so the pleasure is his. Now that they are done with the cute talk, Volts gets down to the first line of business, which is to take off the slave collar from Elle's neck. He gives her a control device which is known for being able to activate and disable any items that relate to slavery. Elle is a bit surprised to see this, and she asks her master if he is not worried that she will run away if he takes off the collar. He simply says that he would always choose not to be suspicious of others, and instead focus on believing in them, even if they were to betray him later. He has a rather noble way of living his life, and this makes Elle place even more faith in her master. However, she also calls Volts a weird man and says that there's no need to remove her collar. Aur is a bit surprised to hear this, so he asks Elle if this is fine for her as the slave collar can be a scary thing. The princess slave decides to act cute and she gets close to her master, after which she says that she fully trusts him. Elle is also ready to fulfill Volts' wishes, no matter how twisted they may be. Things become a bit spicy and our hero tries to keep his intrusive thoughts in check, so he tells Elle that she can go take a bath as she must be tired from such a busy day. He's ready to hear the rest of her story tomorrow, but the princess slave says that she can't take a bath before her master. This means that Volts will have to go in first, and he agrees to do so, but is also wary of what might happen. Now, our hero makes his way to the bathroom and he realizes that he's a bit nervous around his curvy slave girl. Of course, this might be due to the fact that he's never really spoken to women before, and now he's hit the jackpot with Elle. It only gets better for him as his slave girl takes off her attire and prepares to wash his back for him. Naturally, Volts has never done something like this his whole life, so he doesn't really know how to react to this. He tries to keep his intrusive thoughts in check once again and tells Elle that she doesn't need to wash his back as he can do it himself. However, the princess slave is not going to back down, especially after how nicely her master has treated her the whole day. Elle feels like she needs to do something to prove her value, so this is one way to show it. Of course, she also worries whether she isn't charming enough for Volts, but we all know that this is not the problem. Our hero tells Elle that she is a very charming woman, but this only makes her want his body more. She says all kinds of things to imply that she only wants to be with Volts. But our hero activates alpha male mode for a bit. He asks his slave girl if she really wants to love him all her life, and she says that she will be very happy to do so. On top of that, if her master were to love her back, then she would be absolutely delighted. These words can do all kinds of things to a man, so Volts tells Elle that she can't take back whatever she has said, even if she comes to regret it later. As of now, she can focus on washing his body, so the princess slave agrees to it. We can see that our hero has a strong build and a lot of scars on his body, so Elle gets excited upon seeing them. She comments on how strong and manly this is, so Volts asks her if wounds are really her thing. Elle comes close to his ears and whispers that she likes all of him, whether it's his wide chest or his thick arms. This kind of talking triggers Volts and his intrusive thoughts take over his mind once again. He says that Elle really knows the words to please a man, so he wonders if she really is as innocent as the slave trader had claimed her to be. This leads to a rather hilarious situation as Elle becomes a little more aggressive in bathing her master, and she asks him if he thinks she is used to flirting with men. He says that isn't the case, but it looks like his slave girl is focusing too much on his wounded areas. Elle says that she will only talk to her master like this and no other man can enjoy her sweet words. Now, Volts takes a look at Elle's eyes and states that he's been captivated by them for a while. He can also feel her soft and comforting breath as her face is close to his. This makes our hero wonder if his slave girl is waiting for him to place his lips on hers. However, he is also scared to do it because he could be wrong, although that doesn't seem likely in this case. Elle has had enough of teasing her master, so she asks him to be more aggressive with her. Her behavior stuns Volts because she said this just as he had started to hesitate. He is glad that she is not going to pull back, so he can go all in now. An engaging session follows, so Elle states that her master is very experienced, but he says that he has never been with a woman, so it comes as a huge shock to the princess slave. He apologizes if his skills are not going to be good enough, but Elle says that she's happy to be his first experience. She wants to make her master feel good, so she promises to service him in the best way possible. She takes a look at his elephant's trunk and comments that it's at least twice the size of the ones she's seen before. This makes Volts cautious because Elle is supposed to be innocent, but she tells him not to think too much of it. She proceeds to give our hero a taste of heaven on earth and he gets relieved soon enough. Now, Elle sits close to her master in the pool, but he asks her it's not needed for her to stick to him this way. However, the princess slave says that she wants to feel Volts closely and also wants his elephant's trunk to become ferocious again. If it were to happen, then she would happily repeat her services again. Elle asks if her lips were to her master's liking, and he says yes instantly, because he can't really complain. The princess slave is glad to hear this, so she tells Volts that they should take things to the bedroom now. This is where our hero will be able to show the true power of an S-rank adventurer to his princess slave. He activates alpha mode again and carries Elle to the bedroom, so she gets excited for what's to come next. Even Volts feels the same way. And that's obviously because he's going to have his first time with a princess girl, even though she's technically a slave that he had bought from the auction. He finds this rather strange because he is an S-rank adventurer after all. He has completed so many S-rank quests in this fantasy world, and they involve fighting dragons and all other kinds of legendary monsters. He's even beaten the mythical beasts of history with ease. But none of these tasks have gotten him as excited as he is right now to do shady things with Elle. As expected, he should be thinking like this because he's never done anything of the sort before in his life. Now, both our hero and his slave girl are in bed, but Elle has an odd look on her face. Volts asks her if all is well, and she says that she's just shocked to see how her master was able to carry her all the way from the bathroom to the bedroom. She gets very tingly and happy because of this, so our hero says they should pick things up from where they left off. In the middle of the violation, Volts says that Elle's body is very girly and curvy, but some parts are pretty firm, probably because she has been an adventurer before being sold as a slave. Elle asks her master if he's familiar with the sights of female bodies, so he awkwardly says no and goes on to ask for her adventurer rank. They put a pause on their shady acts, and then Elle looks for her guild card, which she had left somewhere in her towel. After a bit of looking around, she finds the guild card and we learn that she is rank C. Volts is quite impressed to see this because princess girls are not known to have such a rank. He goes on to ask Elle for her class, and she says it's Saint Force, which is actually a very helpful class. We learn that the people of Saint Force class have the ability to summon holy beasts to fight for them. These holy beasts have attacks that are extremely powerful, but at the same time, the one casting the spells needs to be careful about making the beasts attack in quick succession. After all, this kind of power takes a lot of energy and can drain the caster if done in haste. It is due to the high mana consumption that this kind of class is not very popular amongst most adventurers. Volts comments that Elle really picked out a unique class for herself, but she says that she couldn't help herself as the holy beasts were too cute to resist. Of course, Volts is taken aback to hear a cute girl feeling the same way about a holy beast, but that's just the kind of person Elle is. He thanks his slave girl for her insights, so she also asks him to show his guild card. He guides Elle to the card, and she is shocked to learn that her master is an S-rank adventurer. She can't believe this, especially since Volts is a solo hero, but he tells her that he's been told by many that he is very talented and powerful. However, this presents a different kind of problem to Elle because if her master helps her with the revenge plan, then his reputation as an S-rank hero may suffer due to it. As expected, Volts says that such things don't even matter to him because he can simply leave the kingdom even if he is marked as a criminal. Of course, there's also the fact that he fell in love with Elle from the moment he first saw her at the slave auction. It all makes sense now because spending 13 million gold coins on a slave girl is ridiculous. Anyway, our hero tells his princess slave that he can never say no to her, and it makes her fall in love with him as well. Now that all the chatting has been completed, it's time for the both of them to get down to business. Volts asks Elle if she's ready for this, and she says yes without any hesitation at all. With that, the both of them say I love you to each other and engage in unspeakable acts. In the process, our hero realizes that Elle is indeed as innocent as she had claimed to be, and she is glad that he now knows she wasn't lying to him. Volts is pleased by this because he knows that it must have been hard for Elle to keep her innocence in check, especially since she was with slave traders this whole time. She explains that the slave collar had prevented her from harming her master, but she could protect her own innocence by using other means such as threatening to end it all, which would mean the slave traders not having anyone to sell. Volts unleashes his S-rank elephant on Elle's twin peaks and curvy body, so an intense session follows which ends pleasantly for the both of them. After all is done, Elle says that her stomach feels warm, almost as if there's a baby inside her now. Volts says that if this is the case, then she will become a slave wife. Elle thinks it's a funny term, but she doesn't mind it at all if it means that she can be with her master for life. Our hero realizes that both he and the princess slave are covered in sweat, so they should go take another bath. Elle is ready for it, but she asks her lover boy to carry her in his arms to the bathroom. Volts jokes and comments that his slave likes to make a lot of demands, but Elle simply says that she can't walk properly after what he did to her. She asks Volts to take responsibility for her curvy body and the future it holds with him, so he instantly picks her up and asks her if she is going to be able to enjoy her life together with him. She says yes without a doubt, and the couple becomes even more romantic. Now, Volts carries Elle down to the bathroom, but he knows that her wounds from being betrayed might still be lingering in her mind. At the same time, Elle thinks of ways in which she can please her master even more. Our hero feels that he should find out more about Elle's revenge targets, and the princess slave feels that she needs to learn more ways to please a man. They both decide to head out to the town tomorrow as they are also burning with motivation. We move to the next day as Volts approaches Jess, who is eating some food. He says he has something that he wants to ask the demon man. But Jess is shocked to see Volts like this. After all, he is looking very refreshed and is glowing, unlike how he usually shows himself. The demon man is interested in learning more about Volts' demands, so he asks our hero what he needs to know. He says that he wants Jess to find 3 adventurers from the guild, and adds that they are all rank C. He also states their names as Kurd, Modred, and Lena, after which he specifies that they are 2 men and 1 woman. Jess is intrigued by the fact that an S-rank hero is looking for C-rank adventurers, so he takes a pause. Volts asks the demon man if there is a problem, and he says yes because his radar only involves high-rank adventurers. He doesn't usually look for information on lower ranks. And on top of that, he doesn't even know where the hangout spot is for these people. Despite these issues, Jess says that Volts have to wait for 1 week before he can come to him with results. Our hero is pleased by this answer because it's fast enough for him, since Jess doesn't need that much time for this request. Volts decides to give him one more task. This one is a bit more unorthodox as he asks the demon man to get him in touch with a slave trader, and that too, a person who deals in human slaves, both men and women. Of course, it's not normal to hear such a thing from Volts, so Jess takes a moment to digest what he has just heard. He puts 2 and 2 together, so he asks our hero if all of this is because of Elle, whom he had bought the other day in front of him. Volts has no shame in saying yes and reasons that she had asked him to do this for her as a favor. However, the main reason behind this is that our hero wants to do it out of his own free will. We learn that Elle still gets nightmares from her past as a slave girl, and Volts got to see it in the night when they were sleeping in the same bed. Our hero wants to free his princess slave from the nightmares of her past that still haunt her today. Jess is a bit cautious after hearing this, so he advises Volts not to trust slaves too much as they can be unreliable. He even tells our hero that he should not experience another betrayal, which means that something bad had happened to him before. This clearly affects the S-rank fighter, as he fumes over it and looks at Jess with a raging passion. He demands to know who told the demon man such a thing, but he simply answers that it was nothing more than a passing rumor. However, judging by the reaction Volts just gave, it looks like there's some truth to that rumor as well. Volts doesn't want to waste time on silly topics, so he tells Jess to zip it and only focus on the work he is giving him. Our hero orders the demon man to report any leads that he finds on an immediate basis, so he agrees to do so without any further comments. With that, Volts steps out of the inn and wonders how Elle must be doing over here. After all, slaves are not seen in the best light by the regular folks of this town. We now switch to the princess slave, who is in a library and going through some books. She seems to have found the book that she was searching for this whole time, and she takes a good look at it to confirm if it is what she wants. The name of the book suggests that it's about a noble lady who acts on her intrusive thoughts with a muscular night boy. On top of that, there are 4 volumes to this book, which means that it's in very high demand. It turns out that both volumes 3 and 4 are available in this library, so Elle figures that she should buy them now to make the most of the opportunity. She goes to the counter to pay for the books, but the man selling them notices how cute and curvy Elle is. He also has some muscles, so he asks the princess slave if she likes what she sees. Of course, his eyes look like they're filled with intrusive thoughts. So Elle decides to pay for the books as soon as she can in order to get out of the store. She tells the shady man that her master's muscles are much better than what he can hope to achieve, and then she leaves the store immediately. She feels violated just by the shady man's looks, but at least she was able to get her hands on these books. Now, Elle looks around to make sure no one is going to come here, and then she opens the book. We can see that these books are rather graphic in their descriptions of unspeakable things between the heroine Anna and her night boy, Hubert. Since Anna could not get enough of Hubert and his elephant, she would wait for everyone to fall asleep at night in the castle. She then heads to the room of her night boy out of her own will, and then she calls out to him. Hubert asks her if there's anything she needs, so she tells him it's time to work on their intrusive thoughts. What follows is a rather unique act, but it ends well for both Hubert and Anna, so Elle has what she needs. The princess slave shuts the book because she has the idea in her mind, especially because she can relate to Anna a lot. Not only are the both of them princesses, Anna did not like doing shady things with men at first, just like Elle. However, she finally tapped into her true feelings and slowly started to desire Hubert's body due to her own needs. Elle is also like this because she has a lot of desire for Volts and his elephant's trunk as well. After realizing how she can use her twin peaks in more ways than one, Elle figures that she now has a new move to try in the bedroom. However, she realizes that her master is very gentle and caring, so she needs to be more aggressive with him. She gets all kinds of twisted fantasies in her mind, because she starts to think about how she's Volt's slave and can't defy him no matter how twisted his own intrusive thoughts might be. After all, her sole objective is to please him in every way possible. Such shady thoughts cause Elle to wonder how unbecoming she is, that too in public, so she tries to keep herself in check. Suddenly, she hears someone screaming at another person to give back his slave, so she decides to check it out. Elle goes towards the noise and it looks like the other person also does not wish to give over the slave as he believes she belongs to him. After getting closer, she notices that two men are fighting over a cute slave girl, and neither one is giving in as they both believe they found her first. One of the men happens to be the slave trader who had auctioned her off to her master, and the other one looks like a man from the noble family. The girl in the middle is clearly the slave, and she looks very scared, judging by the look on her face. It doesn't take long for the princess slave to realize that she knows who this girl is, especially after they notice each other. This new girl's name is Selena, and she calls out to Elle as she is a familiar face. The princess slave then tells us that Selena needs to be saved both in mind and in body. It's time for some context. So we are told that Selena and Elle were friends while they were slaves under the shady trader. They found comfort in each other and refused to give up hope as long as they had each other's backs. Seeing Elle makes Selena emotional, so she calls out to her friend, hoping that she will save her. However, the slave trader pulls her back via her slave collar and reminds her that she can't go away from her master as long as she has it on. Elle can't take this anymore, so she tells the slave trader to stop with his nonsense as she wishes to speak with Selena for a bit. Seeing the princess slave makes him recall that he had sold her the other day, so he says that he does not have any business with her anymore. However, Elle tells him that if he's going to behave this way, then he will have to deal with her master. The slave trader doesn't care because he has no idea who Volts is, so Elle tells him that her master is an S-rank adventurer. Hearing this makes the slave trader panic, so he tries to talk his way out of it, but Elle is not going to let him off so easily. She warns him that if she reports this to her master, then the slave trader will not live for long. Of course, it's not like Elle is useless as a fighter, so she prepares to teach him a lesson with her own powers as well. The princess slave has no problem in taking matters into her own hand, so the slave trader figures he shouldn't take the risk. He allows Elle to have a word with Selena and tells her to be quick. The girls hug each other after such a long time, and Selena breaks down upon finally being with Elle again. The princess slave asks her if she's alright, but the only thing Selena can say is that she was very scared when she was all alone. Elle tells her not to worry because she will keep her safe now, but she can recall that Selena is supposed to be very brave and strong, so this is not like her. We are now taken to a flashback where we see Elle crying over something that had happened to her. Selena calms her down and also calls her a crybaby for making such a fuss. Elle says that she's scared of what might happen next to her, so Selena comes close to her in order to reassure the princess slave that all will be well. She says that she will protect Elle with all that she's got, and this is more than enough to give the princess slave the courage she needs. The smile on Selena's face alone was the source of hope for Elle, so she owes her for the support. We are back to the present now, and Elle states that she will be the one to protect Selena now. She asks her friend what happened, so Selena points to the nobleman and reveals his name to be Earl. We learn that Selena was sold to him, and from the looks of it, Earl seems to have a kind and calm face. However, that is not the truth as he is a devil in disguise. As a matter of fact, he likes to hurt Selena even while smiling, which is rather twisted for any kind of man. He would not stop with his horrid acts, and it became too much for Selena to keep up with, so she tried to run away from the scene. However, this was of no use, as Earl was able to track her down with ease by making use of his noble status. Elle can't stand to hear this, so she asks Selena if Earl did anything else apart from harming her. Selena says no, which means that she is still an innocent maiden. This is good enough for Elle to make a stand, so she asks the slave trader if he will be in charge of Selena during the slave auction. He says yes, so she asks when the auction is happening. Keeping everything in mind, he says that it should be a week from now, so Elle tells him to promise her that he will not lay a finger on Selena till then. The slave trader tries to act shady by saying Elle will need to fill a contract for him to make that kind of promise. The princess slave is not here to play games, so she looks at the slave trader with serious eyes and orders him not to lay a finger on Selena till the date of the auction. The slave trader figures she is not messing around, so he says that he was just joking and will honor his promise to keep Selena out of harm's way. Elle reminds him that Selena is no longer a maiden when she sees her next. Then the agreement between her and the slave trader will be as good as broken. He agrees to her terms, but then asks if she intends to buy Selena as her own slave girl. That's when Elle states that she will most definitely return for her friend and purchase her at the auction. Come to think of it, Elle can end the slave trader now and take Selena with her, but she could risk her friend's life by doing so. The only way to get Selena fair and square is to purchase her at the auction, so Elle keeps her calm and sticks to her word. Of course, this doesn't go down well with the Earl, who is shocked to see a princess slave trying to buy his own slave from him. He asks her if she is trying to get in his way, but she is not afraid of him, so she says yes and declares that she will not allow him to do as he pleases with Selena. Earl tries to act scary by saying he is the one who will own Selena, as he seems to have an interest in her. The slave girl is not too pleased to hear this, but Elle urges her to wait till the day of the auction because she will definitely come to save her. The slave trader is not too happy to see Elle like this, because she is acting like a princess even though she was sold off as a slave only one day ago. With that, everyone walks away from the scene and Elle makes a promise that she will most definitely save Selena. Now, we move forward to our hero's home where his princess slave has told him everything about Selena and what happened with the slave trader. Volts pays close attention to the whole story, but he sees Elle trying to be cute, so he asks her if she is doing this to gain his favor. The princess slave is shocked to hear his choice of words, because that's not what she's trying to do here. She bows down to her master and says that it was never her intention to ask for his favor because she only wants Volts to honor her selfish request. Luckily for her, Volts is not asking this in a bad way because he and Elle have already crossed the norms for what a normal relationship between a master and his slave usually are. Our hero asks his princess slave if she remembers this, and then he states that he loves her. He is actually surprised that she does not feel the same way about him, because this is not how lovers ask each other to help out with something. Hearing this brings tears to Elle's eyes, and she realizes how foolish she has been all this time. Volts is not just her master now, but also her lover, so she should treat him like one. She blushes and smiles, after which she declares that she loves Volts very much and shares the same feelings for him. Now that this has been cleared, our hero holds Elle in his arms and tells her never to behave this way with him again. After all, he did say that he could never refuse her for anything, so she can come to him with any request that she has. Elle becomes very emotional and she begs Volts to save Selena because she is her true friend. Our hero says yes without even a moment of hesitation, and then we see the couple having a nice meal with each other. Volts asks Elle when the auction is going to happen, so she says a week from now, but also mentions that there is one more person who is going to bid on Selena. Volts wants to know who is competing against them, so Elle reveals it's Selena's former owner, Earl. Our hero realizes that this might be tough because a man like Earl will have access to earnings from the royal family. Elle gets worried and asks her master if this is going to be a problem, but he asks her not to make such a face as all will be fine. However, in his mind, he thinks of a way to get Selena because he did just spend 13 million gold coins on Elle. At the moment he has around 4 million gold coins in his account, but that is by no means a small amount. Even so, Volts knows that he should not take the risk, so he thanks Elle for the meal and suggests that they should go out on a quest once she's done eating. The princess slave is a bit confused at first, but then Volts explains to her that they are going to rack up a fortune by completing quests until the day of the auction. Once that is done, they can go save Selena, which gives hope to Elle. She smiles and blushes yet again, after which she agrees to help her master on this mission. To kick things off, Volts takes on all kinds of quests, and the first series that he has picked is rather intense. He has to slay 5 goblins, hunt a ghoul, capture a morphal beast, slay 5 drake beasts, and finally hunt a red dragon as well. Basically, these are 5 conditions merged into one quest, but that means that the bounty should also be as high. Volts takes Elle with him on his horse and realizes that one of the tasks isn't a rank mission, but that should be fine because they have a week to get the job done. Elle is also confident that they can complete these tasks and use the money to save Selena. The couple gets everything in place from the guild, and then they set out on the horse, but not before the reception boy Havalik gives something to Elle. Our hero is curious to know what it was, so he asks his princess slave about it. That's when we go on a bright flashback to when Havalik gave Elle a small bag filled with a mystery item. The reception boy whispers to Elle that if she uses this item, then she will be raring to go even after 7 days of quests. She blushes and accepts the item, after which she gets even more excited for the missions that they have ahead of them. Of course, the item in the bag could be used for a lot of things, but the princess slave tells her master that the item is just a set of provisions that will help increase her stamina. Elle continues to say that Havalik is a good boy and Volts should continue working with him. Our hero has no issues with that, because he has known the reception boy ever since he was just a beginner as an adventurer. Elle's twin peaks start talking to Volts, so he asks her if she wishes to go on a quest in the dress she is wearing now. As expected, he doesn't want his intrusive thoughts getting in the way of his mission, but Elle maintains that she will keep this dress on. After all, she is a Saint Force class adventurer, so she will always have her master's back. On top of that, the dress is very special to her because it was gifted to her by Volts as an act of kindness. The princess slave realizes why Volts is asking her this question, so she asks him if he is too distracted by the way her curvy body is seen in these clothes. She wonders if her master will be able to focus on the quest if he only keeps looking at her. So Volts tries to act cool by saying that is not the case. Our hero can lie, but his elephant's trunk only speaks the truth, so it rises to tell Elle how Volts is feeling right now. She asks him if he is still going to deny his intrusive thoughts. So he has no other option but to tell the truth. All of this is clearly Elle's fault, so she decides to take responsibility for it and calm down her master's trunk. This is a risky thing to do, but Elle gets to work and gives Volts some heaven on earth in the middle of the woods. After refreshing herself with some fluids, the princess slave says that her master's trunk has a thick and manly smell. This means that she can only expect great things from Volts tonight, but he doesn't understand what she's trying to say. After a while, he figures out that Elle wants to do unspeakable things with him tonight. But before he can clarify this, the lovers hear some noises coming from a distance. They take a look at some smoke coming out of the woods, and Elle asks what could be the scene over there. Volts says that it's most likely a group of adventurers fighting some kind of beast or other monster. The noises grow louder, and then we see that the fighters are actually a couple of cute girls named Luna and Sana. They seem to be running away from something, as Sana tells Luna that they need to lure it out and try attacking it again. Luna is fine with that, so the girls begin their mission and step out of the bushes to lead the monster towards them. This beast turns out to be a giant cyclops monster, as can be seen by the way it towers over the trees. Luna and Sana keep an eye on it as they try to lure it out into an open space. Luna seems to be scared of the beast, but Sana looks like the braver of the two. She notices our hero with his princess slave, so she worries that another set of adventurers may end up stealing her bounty. Sana is not going to give up her game so easily, so she prepares to show the giant monster what she's made of. She summons the light element within her and calls upon the power of the angels to unleash a nova blast on the cyclops monster. It's a rather deadly blow, and she even lands a direct hit, so Sana feels like she has defeated the beast and can claim her bounty. However, the smile on her face suddenly turns upside down as there isn't even a single scratch on the monster. She doesn't know what to do now, so Luna decides to step in with her own skills. She takes her bow and arrow, after which she strikes a pose and calls upon the powers of heaven. Luna then hopes for a direct hit and launches the heavenly rain attack on the overpowered beast. The shower of arrows lands on the cyclops monster, but even that has no effect on it. Now, Volts finally gets to see what's going on, and even he comments that such moves are not going to work on this monster because it is a glaciant. Elle also has a look of concern on her face as the cyclops monster launches its own attack on the girls. Luna and Sana run for their lives because they don't have any other tricks up their sleeve. They can't really avoid the beast for long due to its massive size, so the punches being landed by the glaciant start to reach them soon enough. Just when it looks like Luna and Sana are going to be smacked, Volt steps in like a true hero and rescues the cute girls from certain doom. He and his horse manage to make it just in the nick of time, and he asks the girls if they're okay, but we can see that he's grabbing Luna where she doesn't need to be grabbed. On top of that, Sana tells him not to try and steal their game even though they clearly don't stand a chance against the glaciant. Our hero comments that Sana has a loud mouth on her, but Luna asks him not to grab her twin peaks with such passion. Sana calls out Volts for being a creep, but he says he's not really doing this on purpose. Meanwhile, Elle decides to take on the cyclops monster, so she stands in close range and begins chanting a spell. She summons an army of Fenrir wolves, after which she commands them to attack the glaciant with all they've got. The intention is also to lure the monster away from Luna and Sana, so the white Fenrir wolves circle around the giant beast to distract it. However, the problem is that Elle uses up too much of her mana and this process falls to the ground. She laments that it's been a while since she's used her powers, so she's forgotten how much energy it sucks out of her even to summon the Fenrir wolves. The beast closes in on Elle and things aren't looking too good for her, so Volts calls out to her and even she calls out his name. Our hero charges at the beast, but he realizes that he won't make it in time to save his princess slave, so he has to stop the glaciant in its tracks. On that note, he summons his endless sword attack and stabs the giant cyclops in its legs by launching swords from under the ground. The beast is now trapped and defeated, thanks to the endless blades that have come from soil, and Elle is pleased to see this. She realizes how powerful her master really is, and then Volts comes to her to ask if she is alright. This goes on to show that our hero truly is an S-rank sword genesis. Now that the danger is over, we learn that Luna and Sana are twins who always stay with each other, no matter what. Elle is also feeling much better after regaining some of her mana, so she thanks Volts for his services. She also comments that her master has an amazing move in the sword attack he just used. He reveals that it's actually called Infinite Sword Dance, which uses tons of swords that have been stored in another dimension. The fact that he can make these swords appear from wherever he wants goes on to show that he has mastered sword genesis. This is an ability that can only be used by those who have attained the highest rank in sword skills. so it looks like Volts has a diverse range of powers. Now, our hero turns to the cute twins and asks them for their adventurer ranks because they are clearly not good enough to take down a Glaceon. The girls are a bit shy and scared after seeing his S-rank skills, but Volts gets scary because he wants to know why they're not giving him an answer. Luna and Sana hug each other out of fear, so Elle tells her master that he should not scare them like this. Volts realizes what he's doing, so he says that was not his intention. The princess slave goes to Sana and gives her a smile, after which she explains that Volts may look scary, but he's actually a very kind man. Sana doesn't want to say it, but she eventually reveals that her rank is E, which is the lowest rank possible. Volts calls this out and tells the cute twins that they were being very reckless in trying to take on the Glaceon. They know this, but they figured that if they could beat the monster, then they could prove themselves. After all, they want to get strong and they look very determined as well, so Volts is impressed by their passion. However, he states that it is this very same passion that could bring about their downfall, so Elle asks him to be more polite. Our hero figures he should help out the cute twins, so he asks if they want him to show them how to fight. They make some odd faces, so he asks why they're giving him such looks. After all, it would be the best thing for these girls to learn from a skilled fighter like Volts. But then Sana and Luna get into a discussion with each other. Sana doesn't like the look of our hero, and she tells Luna that it's not going to be of any use as he might just take all their money after teaching them some useless tricks. Luna comments that they don't have any money to pay in the first place, so Sana tells her that Volts will sell them into slavery if they don't pay him. This makes Luna scared in a funny way, but then Elle shows up and tells the girls that Volts would never do such a thing. Sana wants to know what makes her so confident in this. So Elle explains that Volts is not the type of man to ask for money. She then goes on to take off her scarf and reveal her slave collar, which shocks the cute twins. They can't believe that a girl like Elle is actually a slave, but she says that her master has always treated her as an equal. He has never asked for a price whenever Elle has come to him with any requests. So she asks the cute twins if they still have some kind of issue with her master. Luna and Sana look at each other for a second and then they rush past Elle towards Volts. They both bow down to our hero and ask him for his help. Volts is unable to believe this sudden change in attitude, so he asks Elle how she was able to pull it off. The princess slave simply smiles and says that it's in her nature to do so. Now, the team sets up a camp and enjoys a meal with each other where some tasty meat is being roasted. Sana is overjoyed to eat such good food and she declares that she's been starving for so long. Luna agrees that the food is tasty, but she also asks her sister to behave herself. Volts has no problem with this, and he can see how alike the cute twins are. We learn that Sana is a priest girl and Luna is a mana archer girl who blushes way too easily. Volts tells the cute twins that he'll teach them how to fight while on his quest, so he asks them to join him and Elle. He also asks the girls to take their share of the bounty for beating the Glaceon, but they say it's fine because they've already had such a nice meal. After all, they only want to get stronger, so they don't need money or rewards right now. Sana takes another helping of meat, so Luna tells her that she's eating way too much for her own good. However, Volts tells them to help themselves to as much food as they want. Now, it's time for bed, and we can see both Luna and Sana sleeping together in a cute pose. Elle takes a sneak peek and comments that they look very sweet in this sensitive position, and then she goes back to her master. Of course, Volts knows that the cute twins are probably sleeping so well because they had deprived themselves of food and sleep all this time in order to get stronger. That's a rather odd reason, so Elle wonders what could have made Sana and Luna resort to such methods. Our hero says that it can only be something like a purpose or an objective that requires the twin sisters to be strong. The princess slave states that if this is the case, then both Luna and Sana are a lot more mature than she is. The reason behind this is that at least Elle has an S-rank hero like Volts who is there to keep her safe. The cute twins only have each other to look out for, so they're fighting an even tougher battle. However, Volts tells her that he'd much rather prefer if the girls were like Elle and asked for help rather than trying to do everything by themselves. After all, he has the power to get things done for them, so they should allow him to help with their mission. However, if they don't even ask him for his strength, then there's nothing that he can do. Elle notices that her master feels bad for the cute twins, so she goes up to him and hugs him from behind. The princess slave says that she wants to walk the same path as our hero, even though he doubts his own decisions from time to time. Of course, getting so close to Volts can only lead to his intrusive thoughts taking over, so he looks at Elle with a burning desire, as does she. They are about to lock lips and get down to business, but then Volts stops Elle in her tracks, which confuses her. She wants to know why her master is not unleashing the beast within, so he explains that there are two girls who are asleep right next to them, so it might not be the best idea to do unspeakable things to each other right now. The princess slave is not too happy to hear this, because she wants to use the skills that she learned in the shady books earlier. However, she has to obey her master, so she says she will do as he says and will not demand for anything by herself. However, if Volts decides to change his mind, then she will be more than happy to do what is needed to be done. Our hero tells his princess slave that he will not push her to do anything she doesn't want to, and suggests that they should go to bed now. The couple gets ready to get some sleep, but it looks like Volts is having some issues. Elle asks him if he's alright, but he keeps saying that it's very hot for him in this tent. The princess slave takes a look at him and can see that he's sweating a lot, so she says that she should wipe the sweat away with her curvy body. Of course, she positions herself in a way that her twin peaks are right in front of her master's face, and this leads his elephant's trunk to rise with passion. It doesn't take long for Volts to let his intrusive thoughts take over, and then he grabs his slave girl to dominate her. Elle asks her master if he has decided to change his mind after what he had just said a few minutes ago, and the look on his face says it all. Volts only has one thing in his mind now, and he will do whatever it takes to get it. Elle blushes and smiles at the same time because her master looks like a hungry beast who is aiming at his prey. We now learn that the princess slave had put something in our hero's coffee, which is presumably the item she had taken from the reception boy earlier. It clearly seems to have done the trick, as Volts wants to violate Elle without any mercy. He tells her that they can't make any sound at all, but she says that she can't make that promise if he unleashes the beast upon her. What follows is an intense session that can't be put into words, but it looks like these acts have woken up Sana from the next tent. She peeks in on our hero doing unspeakable things to his princess slave and wonders what these acts are called. She's surprised that they're so loud even when she and Luna are right next to them, and she also wonders if Volts' trunk can fit inside Elle's abyss. She can't help but continue to watch them, and this causes her own intrusive thoughts to take over her mind. Now, we move to the next morning and we can see that Sana has not slept very well due to her constant yawning. Luna asks her if she is having any trouble sleeping, so she says that it's something like that because she can't tell her sister the truth that she was peeking at Volts and Elle going at it. This actually goes on for 2 nights in a row, so Sana gets a very detailed show on both occasions. Anyway, now is not the time for her to be thinking about such things, so she joins our hero on his quest to find a red dragon's lair. After some searching, the team finally reaches their target spot, and Volts is happy to finally find what he has been looking for. All the other quests have been completed, so this is the final mission that's needed to be completed. However, he needs to keep in mind that the red dragon is final boss material, so he is top danger. This is not going to be like the easy quests he's been doing with the girls, because you can't afford to mess up against such a beast. If that happens, then you risk losing your life without much of a fight. Of course, this is not what Luna and Sana want to hear, so they ask our hero not to scare them with his serious words. Volts tells them to simply keep all their training in mind because that had helped them come out on top against the monsters in the previous quest. As a matter of fact, he even tells the cute twins that they have done well so far as per their training. This gives them hope, so they become happy and rejoice upon hearing Volts' comment. However, before they can celebrate their achievement any further, the team can hear something nasty walking nearby. Elle wonders what it could be, but Volts tells all the girls to be quiet for now. They take a closer look and find not one, but 3 drake dragons right in front of them. The good thing is that the dragons have not noticed the team, so they have the upper hand. Now, Volts assembles his team and gets them ready for the task ahead of them, which is to take care of these drake dragons. He says that they will make the first move, and he encourages the cute twins to go out there and do their thing. He tells them to believe in themselves and promises to protect them if things don't go as planned. Luna and Sana are pumped to try out their new skills, and even Elle wants in on the action, so she kicks things off by chanting a spell and summoning an aqua dragon to take on the drake dragons. This aqua dragon unleashes its powers with a water blast attack that lands a direct hit on one of the dragons. The other beasts notice what's happening and are a bit confused by the attack, so Luna decides to make the most of this chance and charge at the dragons along with Sana. The twins unleash their powers as well, with Sana launching an Angel Nova attack and Luna firing her one-hit arrows on the dragons. Both the girls land direct hits on their targets, and the drake dragons fall to the ground. It doesn't take long before the 3 girls take down the 3 dragons and wrap things up with ease. Volts watches the fight and is impressed with the progress they have made till now. Sana comments that this was a piece of cake for her, and Elle tells the cute twins that they did a great job. Luna says that this was all because of the princess slave's water dragon and also her advice. Even Volts says that the girls should cut out the tongues from the drake dragons to show proof of the quest being completed. Sana is not too pleased to hear this, and she makes a face because she thinks it's disgusting. The priest girl can't believe that such things are considered to be luxury items in this fantasy world. But that's just how things are. Of course, our hero is not too pleased to hear her complaints because he does not expect her to do so well against a red dragon if she uses the same attitude. Sana takes back her words and says that it's all good from her side, because she doesn't want to upset Volts. The job still isn't done, because our hero wants to launch a surprise attack on the red dragon. who is the final boss of this tunnel. He tells the girls once again that it will only take a single blow from a red dragon to end their lives in an instant. It doesn't take too long for the team to come across the beast, and Volts points out to it almost instantly. Sana and Luna are scared to see it, so Elle holds them close for protection. What they see in front of them is an overpowered dragon that makes the Drake dragons look like little babies. The dragon is fast asleep, so Volts wants to make use of this advantage to launch a surprise attack on it. Of course, Sana and Luna still can't get over the fact that beasts can be as big as this one, because even the Cyclops monster from before can't measure up to the dragon. Of course, Volts has dealt with many dragons before, so he tells the cute twins that while these beasts might look scary, there is a very simple way to attack them. The only thing that they should watch out for is the fire blaze attack that can burn them to a crisp. Sana is actually excited to hear this, because she thinks that dragons breathing fire is really cool. However, Volts tells her that she can become ashes if she doesn't take care over here, and this changes the look on her face. He tells Elle and the cute twins that a dragon will always raise its head before launching a fire attack, so they should watch out for this movement in order to be prepared to dodge it. Now, Volts mentions his plan of attack, which is to go for the limbs first, so that he can lure the beast towards him. Suddenly, the dragon wakes up and has a dangerous look in its eyes, so it gets up and prepares to fight everyone in front of him. The beast is massive, so Volts figures that he should charge at it if he is to keep the girls safe. The dragon launches its claws at Volts, but he's able to counter it with his sword. His strength is amazing, and he's happy to now make the dragon come after him rather than the girls. Sana decides to offer some support by summoning her light element and unleashing her Angel Nova attack on the beast. However, this does no damage at all to the beast, who continues to launch his claws at our hero. Volts is able to fend him off for now, but the dragon is becoming restless, so he might need some supporting magic. He tells Sana to chant this magic, but she is a bit unsure of that order. This is not the time to doubt someone like Volts. So he tells the priest girl that assessing the situation with accuracy is a key factor when it comes to winning any battles. He continues to hold off the dragon, so Sana realizes that she should do as she's told. However, before anything else can happen, the dragon raises its head, which means that it's about to unleash the fire blaze attack. Just like that, the beast breathes a massive amount of fire and targets everyone in the dungeon to land a direct hit. Volts has to spring into action, so he grabs Sana and takes her away from the line of fire, and even Elle does the same to keep Luna safe. The damage caused by this fire blaze attack is outstanding as it burns through everything in its path. The dragon strikes a pose and roars like a demon, which means that it's not going to stop with its fire blaze attacks. Things are not looking good for the team, and the girls have worried looks on their faces, so Volts has no other option but to use his trump card. He holds Sana close and then unleashes his endless sword attack. The blades attack the dragon from the ground and cause a good amount of damage to its body. With the swords holding it down, the beast is unable to move. Volts wants to see what the girls can do, so he tells Luna and Sana to attack the dragon now that it can't hurt them anymore. Elle also decides to step into the game and she unleashes her Aqua Dragon once more. Luna takes out her one-hit arrow and launches it onto the beast right after the water blast attack. Both the princess slave and archer girl land direct hits on the dragon, but Sana is not able to land an Angel Nova attack. Of course, this is not enough to take down the beast, so it raises its head for another fire blast. This time, the girls are ready for it, so they remain steady till the dragon unleashes its flames. They manage to remain alive, but the flames start to take over the dungeon as the damage is too much. The girls know that they can dodge the attacks if they just pay enough attention to the dragon, but the problem is that their mana points are being drained this way. At the current rate, they might even run out of MP before they defeat the dragon. In the middle of this, Sana says that even she wants to fight, but her confidence is low because she was not able to hurt the dragon even with her best move. Volts notices this, so he holds the priest girl's hands and tells her to chant the most powerful holy magic spell she knows. This is a bit too confusing for her, but our hero says that she needs to stop with all her sad feelings. He wants Sana to gain confidence, so he tells her that today she is going to take down a red dragon. This gives her some hope. But the problem is that she won't be able to chant her most powerful spell with the amount of mana she has right now. Sana is not sure if she can unleash the finisher move because she would love to take down this dragon even as Elle and Luna try their best to take it down. Luckily, our hero tells the priest girl that he'll share some of his mana with her to allow her to unleash the spell. Sana is shocked to hear this, but Volts gives her his power so that she can do this for herself. She can feel our hero's warmth flowing into her, but this is not the time for intrusive thoughts to take over, as she tries to ward off her shady intentions. The red dragon prepares for another fire blast since that's the only thing it can do with the swords holding it down. Elle and Luna worry because this time, they have nowhere to hide from the damage. It's at this very moment that Sana uses our hero's powers to start chanting her ultimate spell and she summons the Angel of Judgment to unleash her attack. A massive surge of energy takes over her body, and she prepares to launch her finisher move with Volts guiding her from behind. He urges the priest girl to give it her all, and then Sana fires her holy judgment spell on the dragon. The ultimate angel drops down from the heavens, which shocks the dragon, and then he decimates the beast with a beam of unlimited energy. The light is blinding, and it manages to defeat the red dragon with full force. The beast falls to the ground right in front of Elle and Luna, and they are amazed to see that Sana was able to pull this off. As expected, the priest girl almost faints, so Volts has to hold on to her and ask if she's alright. It turns out that it was Sana's first time using a spell of such a high scale, which is why she's not got much mana left inside her. Our hero comforts her by saying that he might have given her his mana, but it was Sana's skills that helped her pull off the ultimate finisher move. Sana is barely able to hold on to her own breath, but she is glad to hear that her own abilities helped her take down an overpowered dragon. Elle and Luna rush to Sana to see if she's fine, and Volts tells the girls that she's going to be okay, it's just that she has used up too much mana, so she needs to rest for a bit. As a matter of fact, even our hero feels a bit tired after giving Sana his powers, which means that it really takes a lot to summon the Angel of Judgment, since he needs to take care of the priest girl. Volts asks Luna and Elle to collect the scales of the red dragon, so they get to work. The slave princess tells her master that he doesn't need to worry about anything now, so he can rest and leave the rest up to her. As Elle and Luna go to the fallen dragon, Volts picks up Sana in his arms and comments that even though she likes to act all tough and feisty from the outside, her sleeping face is very cute and adorable. Now, the team moves out of the dungeon and back into the camp tents to recover from the massive strain of the quests they just completed. Volts says that he'll watch over Sana, so Elle and Luna can go take a bath with each other. The moment they leave the scene, Sana wakes up and greets Volts with respect. Our hero comments that the priest girl should go and join the others in the bath, but she says that she wants to talk to him about something private, which was why she was only pretending to be asleep. Sana now asks Volts if she and Luna can grow even stronger than they are now if they were to continue with their training. Our hero tells her that as long as she keeps up the effort and doesn't give in to fatigue, then she and her sister can become much stronger than they are right now. However, the priest girl needs to know that there is an upper limit to her abilities, and the same logic applies to Luna as well. He becomes a bit curious, so he asks Sana if she ever plans to switch classes, but she says no without any hesitation. As a matter of fact, she is so sure of this that she says neither she nor Sana will ever change their classes even time were to come to an end. Volts can see the passion in her eyes, so he decides not to pry much further into the reasons behind this. His only request to Sana and Luna is that they should not push themselves to the point where they end up hurting themselves. The priest girl agrees to our hero's terms, but she has one more question that she wishes to ask him. Sana bends down and assumes a spicy pose, after which she asks Volts about his relationship with Elle. Our hero is surprised by the sudden curiosity. That too from a priest girl, so he asks her why she wants to know this. Sana wants an answer first, so he says that he and his princess slave are like lovers at this point. He blushes as he says this, which amuses Sana, but now she knows why they were doing lewd things even with the cute twins sleeping right next to them. Of course, this shocks Volts, because he did not think that Sana would watch such unspeakable acts in front of her. The priest girl is glad to have seen these things because she has intrusive thoughts of her own, but she is confused about the dynamic between Volts and Elle. If she is the princess slave, then why is she always the one in charge when they do shady things to each other? This doesn't rub Volts the right way, so he maintains that he is the one in control of their relationship and Sana is simply reading it wrong. As expected, the priest girl is disappointed to hear this, so she tries to explain that Elle is the one who is getting her master to do what she wants him to do. Sana further states that Volts is not the kind of man who would like to be led by his slave girls. As a matter of fact, he might be kind, but he is a beast deep down inside his heart. He wants to unleash all his passion on Elle, but he worries that she might not like it and get hurt in the process. Volts has nothing to say to this, but his silence is golden because Sana has figured that he does like to be a beast in the bedroom. Now, the priest girl comes up with an idea, and she says that she will teach Volts how an S&M relationship works. She is willing to do this because even our hero was kind enough to teach her and Luna how to fight. Now, she goes on to explain the whole process to our hero, and then she tells him to try it out on his princess slave the next time they get down and dirty. Her words make sense to Volts, but he wants to know how the priest girl has come across such shady information. She goes on to say that she read about it in some of her favorite books, which makes sense because even Elle was doing that back in the city. Volts is shocked to learn that such things can be found in the books of this fantasy world, because Earth is known for having tools like these. Now that she's done with her lesson, Sana tells our hero that he can consider this to be a part of paying off a little bit of the massive debt that the cute twins owe him. The priest girl says that she will also go for a bath now, and then she takes a towel for herself. Before she leaves the tent, she asks Volts one more question. Basically, she wants to know that if in the future she and Luna come across a problem that they can't solve, even after using all the tricks they have up their sleeves, then will Volts be willing to help them out? He says yes without even the slightest bit of hesitation. And this pleases Sana, although she prays that such a day should never come to her. She says goodbye to our hero and heads off towards the bath, and even Volts waves his hand as a show of friendship. Luna and Sana get done with everything and they set off on their own journey. And even though Volts was hoping to run into them at some point in the future, that didn't happen to be the case, as they were never sighted again since that day. After the cute twins leave, it's up to both Volts and Elle to finish off a few more quests to gain extra cash. Of course, this doesn't take much of an effort because our hero is capable of taking down the red dragon all by himself. Once they get done with everything, the couple heads back home with the bounty they have earned so far. Volts and Elle sit down with each other and calculate the total cash that they have made. It's a total of 850,000 gold coins, which is a lot of money. If Volts puts this together with the money he already has in his account, then he has 5 million gold coins. He tells his princess slave that 5 million is the highest bid that he can place. So it should be good enough to get Selena at the slave auction. Now that everything is in place, our hero and Elle decide to head towards the auction. Now, we move to the city where tons of men have gathered to buy cute girls as slaves. Volts and Elle are also here, as is Earl, so the princess slave points out to him so that her master can know who Selena's former owner is. This is when Volts realizes that Earl is actually Count Sebastian, which means that there is a lot of hostility in the air. Of course, Earl is not the only familiar face over here, as a couple more men come towards our hero to greet him. They turn out to be Jess and Havalik, so Volts figures they couldn't help themselves to a show that most men would not want to miss. Jess says that even though he is interested in slave girls, the real reason he's here is because he has intel on the 3 people that Volts had asked him to do his research on. Our hero is pleased to hear this, so he tells the demon boy that they will talk about it once this auction is done. The reception boy asks Volts if he is here to buy another slave, and he says yes, but that's not all. Our hero openly states that if he is not able to get Selena the right way, then he will take her by force if push comes to shove. Jess tells him it's not as easy as it might sound. And Elle backs up the demon boy by saying Volts will be expelled from the city if he were to try such a thing. Our hero doesn't care for these basic rules, but Havalik tells him that he won't be allowed to enter any city that has slave auctions if he gets caught doing something shady over here. Suddenly, the auction begins, so the reception boy shifts his attention to the show. We keep seeing slave girls coming and going with all the men bidding for them like hungry animals. This is a bit too much for Elle to watch, so Volts asks her if she would like to go outside till the auction is over. After all, she does have some painful memories associated with this place, but the princess slave says that she will stay here right till the end because she owes that much to Selena. The slave trader now moves on to the next girl, and Elle points out to her master that she is none other than Selena. As expected, her opening price is 300,000 gold coins, and the opening bids start to flow in. Of course, Earl doesn't want to waste any time, so he opens with a bid of 1 million gold coins. Luckily, Volts is ready to counter him, so he raises his bid to 1.5 million gold coins. This shocks everyone in the room, and the bids continue to come in, so Selena figures that the man sitting next to Elle must be her master. Earl is not going to back off so easily, so he raises the bid to 3 million gold coins. Volts has reserved cash, so he lets the bids cross 4 million gold coins. The situation becomes intense, as Earl bids 4.5 million gold coins, and now Volts begins to sweat. After all, he doesn't really have much left in the bank, so he hopes this is the last bid from his opponent. He raises a bid for 5 million gold coins, and prays that Earl does not compete against him anymore. However, the evil noble raises a bid for 6 million gold coins without any hesitation. And for the first time in the story, we see our hero in a spot of bother. This shocks everyone in the room, as even Selena feels her hope slipping away as Volts remains silent when the auctioneers ask for another bid. Elle looks towards her master, but he says he doesn't have any money left in the bank. The princess slave begins to cry and asks Selena to forgive her, but it's our hero who feels the worst. After all, he was the one who had promised Elle that he would never bring tears to her pretty face again. Volts figures that he has no other method left but to take Selena from Earl by using force. He prepares his plan of action, but then he hears a voice bidding 6.5 million gold coins for Selena. To his shock and surprise, the man with the bid is none other than Jess, who looks very serious about his offer. Our hero wonders if the demon boy is having his own intrusive thoughts take over, so he asks him why he's doing this. Jess simply tells Volts that he's helping him win the bid for Selena. If he can gather all his reserves, then he alone can bid up to 10 million gold coins. Earl is not pleased with the way things are going, so he offers a bid of 7 million gold coins. Jess counters it right away and tells Volts to consider this as an investment from him. Our hero doesn't get what this means, So the demon boy explains that he wants Volts to help him out with some work of his. Of course, he wants to pay a fair price for this work, so he decides to help out with the bid. Also, it would be a huge problem for Jess if Volts gets expelled from the city for using force. Havalik also decides to join in on the action, and he says he can add another 2 million gold coins if push comes to shove. Volts doesn't know how to repay this kindness, but he is grateful to have such friends in his life, so he thanks them for their support. The bidding war is not over though, as the price has reached 9.5 million gold coins. Earl is yet to give up, so our hero and his team decide to test his funds and his patience. Havalik takes his excitement a bit too far and dares Earl to keep pushing the bid as he wants to see if the evil noble can go till 20 million gold coins. This would be a bit too much even if Jess and Volts combine their funds, so they tell him to calm down. Earl doesn't have any money left, so he pushes the bid to 10 million gold coins and hopes this will be good enough. However, the reception boy raises a bid of 12 million gold coins with the look of victory on his face. Earl is shocked and he looks at his butler to see if he can go more, but that's enough from him, so the auctioneer calls out to anyone else who would like to continue with the bid. No one dares to put in such a high amount, so Selena is officially sold to Volts and his team. Everyone rejoices upon this news and Elle hugs her master for helping her out with her request. Now that all of the bidding is completed, Selena and Elle hug each other out of joy. Both the slave girls are very emotional and Elle says sorry to her friend for keeping her waiting. Selena thanks the princess slave for all that she's done, but Elle says that she didn't really do much. This was possible only because of her master. And the last moment assists from Jess and Havalik. The demon boy mocks the reception boy and tells him there was no way he was going to hit 20 million, so he should not have made such a challenge. It's a nice moment, but then Selena asks Elle to run away with her together, which shocks the princess slave, because it doesn't make any sense. Selena explains that while she's very happy and grateful to Elle for all that she's done, the problem is that she is too scared of the men in this world. This is because she was treated badly by Earl, so now she thinks that all men simply view her body as a tool for their shady desires. Elle tells Selena that she can understand how she feels, but she needs to trust Volts, because he is a good man. Selena asks Elle why her master hasn't taken off her collar if that is the case. That's when the princess slave says that Volts had offered to do it, but she chose to keep the collar on to remind herself of the betrayal she had to face. Basically, even though she is living a happy life with Volts, Elle does not want to forget the anger he has built due to the way her own family and friends abandoned her. Selena gets it and says sorry for asking something out of place, but she still has her doubts. It's at this moment when Havalik asks Elle if she's coming to see Volts, so she says yes. Now, she turns back to Selena to ask if she would like to live with her in Volts, but the slave girl is not there anymore. Elle wonders where Selena has gone, and we can see the slave girl running away from the scene. She asks Elle to forgive her, but no matter how she thinks about it, she is just too scared to be around men. However, a black shadow suddenly appears from under the ground and traps Selena as we also see Earl's butler approaching her from behind. He grabs her from behind and holds a knife to her neck to make sure she doesn't scream. He then orders Selena to keep walking as his master is waiting for her. Soon enough, Selena is made to regret her own foolish actions as she is brought in front of the evil noble, Earl. He smiles in the most menacing way possible and even refers to Selena as his cute slave. But there is nothing cute about this situation, as can be seen by the look on her face. Now, we shift to Volts, who is being requested by the slave trader to escort him on a journey. He says that he wants to take a large sum of money to another city, and he needs protection from goons and robbers. There's no better option than an S-rank adventurer like Volts, but he wants to know where all this money has come from. The slave trader explains that it's the money he made yesterday from selling Elle to him, but he makes a mistake by referring to her as a slave woman. This angers our hero, so he smashes the slave trader's face to the wall and refuses the mission because no one can call Elle a slave girl around him. He goes on to scold the slave trader and says that it's people like him who make girls like Elle and Selena slaves in the first place. They simply strip the girls of all their happiness and force them to live sad lives. Volts is so triggered right now that he wishes to rip the slave trader into shreds, but he chooses not to do this because it will happen to him one way or another. After all, there are lots of nobles who hate slave traders, and there are also general fools who are after the money that comes with the job. Our hero puts on a scary face as he says this, and he succeeds in creeping out the slave trader. However, before he can torture him some more, Elle, Jess, and Havalik come to the scene, so he wonders what's going on. That's when he learns it's got to do with Selena running away. Now, we see Earl telling the slave girl that she came running back to him even if he did not win the bid. But we all know that's just a big fat lie. The evil noble says that Selena is very important to him and he only wants her in his life. Selena wonders what this could mean, but it's not anything nice, as Earl says he wants to harm her in ways that she has never imagined. At the same time, he wants to make sure he doesn't break her because she is the best of his toys. Now, Earl says that he wants to make sure Selena doesn't run away from him again, so he decides to break her leg. Of course, she struggles to break free from the evil noble, but he gets excited just thinking about how she's going to react when he starts hurting her again. Selena realizes that she really was a fool to run away from Volts, especially after all that Elle did to make sure she found a safe home. She cries out for help, but before she can even complete the sentence, help has already arrived. Selena can hear someone asking Earl to step away from her, and it's none other than her new master, Volts. He asks his slave girl if she is all right, and he apologizes for letting her feel scared even after she became his possession. Selena figures that he is the same man who was sitting next to Elle in the auction, and she calls out his name with respect. Volts orders Earl never to come near Selena again, but the evil noble has too big an ego to let this go. He tries to act brave in front of our hero, but eventually calls out to his butler, whose name is revealed to be Lubit. Earl can't find his butler, so he tells Volts that he is the heir to the House of Layforth, so he can't lay a hand on him, otherwise he will come to regret it. Volts simply calls him out for misusing the position his parents have built for him in order to harm slave girls. Earl doesn't have any kind of shame, as he says that he can do whatever he wants with these slave girls as they are his things. The evil noble continues to say that slaves are just toys which he can play with or even kick till they break. He takes it a bit too far by saying he can do anything he wants to them and it will still be fine. Of course, our hero is not just going to stand there and listen to this nonsense, so he decides to smash Earl's face with a punch. This is all it takes to send the evil noble flying away. And then Volts angrily states that slaves are not things or toys. He calls Earl a third-class nobleman and says that he treats slaves as people, which is how they should be treated. Earl has a messed up face now thanks to the punch, and we can see a shadow forming under him. It's Lubit, who has finally come to the scene, so Earl orders him to attack our hero. Volts can see that the butler has the power of shadow manipulation, but he can also sense that Lubit is not here to take revenge on behalf of his master. The shadow butler says that his master is most definitely done for, so there's no point in trying to protect him. He also says that his true master, who is Earl's father, has already decided the punishment for his shameless son, which is why the butler was not here for a while. He announces that the heir to the empire will now be the second son, and not Earl, so he says that his father can't do this to him. The evil noble tries to call out to Lubit, but he simply says that Earl has spent too much time playing with his slave girls. With that, the shadow butler picks up Earl and walks away after apologizing to Volts for the trouble they have caused. Earl doesn't want things to end this way, but that's just how things are, and he is now abandoned as a noble. Now, Volts shifts his attention to Selena, who wants to say sorry to him for doubting his intentions, but he apologizes instead. After all, Volts should have taken Earl's obsession into account and expected this kind of behavior in advance. Anyway, he promises to protect Selena from anything that may happen to her from this point forward. The slave girl begins to cry and she also says sorry for running away at first. Selena thanks her new master for saving her life and then Elle rushes to her for comfort. The slave girl says sorry to the prince's slave as well, but Elle says that all is well as long as nothing happened to her. With all the drama finally over, Volts and his girls decide to go back home and relax. Now, we shift to our hero's home where both Elle and Selena go to the bathroom for some relaxation. Elle asks the new slave girl if her wound still hurt, but she says that it's just a little bothersome, so she should be fine. Now, Elle tries to wash Selena's wounds, but she acts shy because she feels her body is not as curvy as hers. The princess slave is amazed to hear such a thing, so she decides to act on some of her intrusive thoughts with Selena. After a shady session, Selena tells Elle that she should know she doesn't have much experience. The princess slave agrees, but she also knows that Selena has a lot of knowledge about such things. She goes on to ask the new slave girl what she thinks of Volts. So she says that she's still afraid of men, but it's different with our hero. Not only is he strong and reliable, but also gentle and kind, so it looks like even Selena seems to like him. Elle asks her if Volts scared her at first with his demeanor, but the slave girl tells her friend that it would become a problem if she ended up liking her master as well. Elle simply says that she would not have any issue with this at all, and it prompts Selena to comment that the princess slave has changed the way she thinks. The princess slave goes on to say the most important thing right now is to cure Selena's fear of men. She also asks her friend if she still has the shady desire which she had told her about earlier. Selena tries to act innocent at first, but then we learn that she likes the smell of men. Selena panics and tries to say that she's not like that anymore, but Elle explains that shady desires such as these don't just disappear randomly. She then tells Selena that she would most definitely get excited if she were to smell a man and a woman doing unspeakable things to each other. The new slave girl gets interested because it's got to do with both a man and a woman. This is when she realizes what Elle is trying to say, so she refuses to be a part of the plan. Elle maintains that Selena should check it out, no matter how many times she says no. Now, we move to our hero's bedroom where Elle is hiding Selena in the cupboard. She says this will be for her own good, but Selena feels that watching her best friend do shady things with her master is not the resolution she needs. Even so, Elle says that she and Volts are going to act on their intrusive thoughts soon, so Selena should be prepared. Basically, if Selena still feels desire after smelling these acts, then her shady intentions have not disappeared yet. With that, Elle shuts the doors and Selena wonders why the princess slave is being so shady, even though she is mostly right about her desires. Now, our hero walks into the room, with no idea of how things are going to unfold for him. He sees Elle sitting right in front of him and she says that she wants to act on her intrusive thoughts with him. As a matter of fact, she wants him to treat her like a proper slave girl, which means he is free to do as he pleases with her. Volt sits down next to the princess slave and asks her what she will do if Selena wakes up. She simply says that Selena is a heavy sleeper, so there will be no issues over there. Of course, this is just a lie, as can be seen in the way Selena is reacting to all of this. Now, Elle goes on to say that it would not make a difference even if Selena were to get up in the middle of their session. As a matter of fact, she is actually looking forward to the time when she and Volts can get freaky with the new slave girl as well. As expected, this comes as a huge shock to Selena. And even our hero says that he needs to consider her feelings before trying something so extreme with her. Elle tries to explain her situation to her master, so she states that she and Selena had made a promise to each other back when they were slaves to be auctioned off. Volts is interested in knowing what this is, so his princess slave takes us all to a flashback. We see Elle and Selena chatting with each other, and the princess slave tells her friend that she will definitely marry the first man she gives her flower to. Of course, Selena thinks that this is just a dream for slave girls like them, so she promises to do the same thing and marry the man who pops her cherry. Now, we are back to the present where Elle explains that as close friends, it is better for them to fall in love with the same man. After all, it only means that both Selena and Elle will be together all the time, and this makes Selena emotional because she's glad that her friend has remembered their promise. However, she is still not going to forgive Elle for putting her in this position because it's still quite awkward. The princess slave wants to continue talking, but Volts has realized that he needs to give her a taste of dominance. He asks her to close her eyes, so she does as she's told like a good girl. Then, he proceeds to tie her up, presumably acting on the advice that Sana had given him back at the camp. He also adds a blindfold to his slave girl's eyes, which means that she can leave it all up to her imagination now. Elle soon realizes what's going on, so she asks her master if he wants to roleplay with her. Things become spicy and our hero can see that his princess slave is getting excited due to this. He proceeds to whisper in her ear that she might not know who's doing these shady things to her, but she's still having a good time. The session is over and Volts takes Elle's blindfold off, so she says that she had felt scared but also thrilled during the session. Our hero says sorry for his actions, but Elle says that she enjoyed what he did to her. Our hero doesn't feel like moving today, so Elle has to do most of the work this time, so she listens to her master's commands. They get freaky and even Selena can't help herself anymore, so she gives in to her shady desires. Both Elle and Selena finish with ease, and then Volts tells his princess slave that they should go to the bathroom for round 2. She agrees to it, but asks her master to go first, because she wants to have a word with Selena. After a brief moment of I told you so, Elle goes to finish up with Volts and Selena finishes up with herself. The next morning, we see Selena with a bright smile on her face as she does the laundry and takes out the clothes for drying. On her way, she bumps into Volts, who says good morning and thanks her for helping out with the chores. Of course, the slave girl is still shy, so she simply runs away from her master while awkwardly wishing him as well. Our hero doesn't know how to react to this, but he also realizes that he should not get in the way of Selena's recovery, so he lets it be for now. Later, Volts and Elle enjoy some romantic time with each other, but Selena can't stop thinking about how happy and cute they are around each other. She wonders if she is being a nuisance to them both, but then Elle asks her to come closer to her and Volts in order to have a chat. Selena says she's fine watching them from a distance because she still hasn't overcome her fear of men. This makes Elle upset, but she can't force her friend to act differently. Now, Volts has to step out, so his princess slave asks him where he's going. Our hero says that he has an escort mission, so he asks Elle to take care of the house while he's out. With that, he shuts the door and leaves the house, so Elle calls Selena to come have a chat. She asks her if she still has her fear of men, and unfortunately, Selena says yes even though Volts is a nice master. It's frustrating for her because she wants to get closer to our hero, so she wonders for much longer this fear is going to remain. Elle wants to explain something to Selena, but before that happens, someone is heard knocking on the door. The princess slave opens it to see who it might be, and it turns out to be Jess. She tells the demon man that her master has just gone out on a quest, but he says that he has something to talk about with the two slave girls. This is a bit surprising for Elle, but Jess is a trusted friend, so she lets him come inside and offers some hot coffee to him. Selena and Elle ask the demon man what this is all about, so he says that he wants to tell them why Volts became an S-rank adventurer. It is only fair since both the slave girls are living with our hero, and even Elle is eager to know the reason for her master's actions. Jess realizes he should speak fast, so he reveals that Volts has a very different truth to his past. As a matter of fact, he used to hate slaves and girls for the longest time. This comes as a shock to the slave girls, so they ask why this is the case. That's when Jess explains that Volts was once betrayed by the slave who was his first love. It's time for some context, so Jess narrates a story about this love affair. This slave was a girl who was working for the royal family, and she got along well with our hero. Volts had fallen in love with her and wanted to make the maid girl his wife, but before he could reveal his true feelings for her, she disappeared without a trace. This broke his heart to the point where he started to train like a deadly beast all the time. He basically wanted to be suitable for the maid girl the next time they'd meet, so he made sure to become so overpowered that no one would be able to beat him. This training bore a lot of fruit as our hero ended up becoming an adventurer right when he turned 18 years old. Time passed by, and one fine day, he finally got to meet her again as an adult. They ended up joining forces and even registered as a party with the guild so that they could go on adventures together. This was the perfect chance for Volts to propose to the maid girl, but he just never had the courage to follow through. He lamented his situation, and things went on this way till one day he came across a quest to conquer an abandoned castle that has become a dead zone. The maid girl was not sure of this because neither her nor Volts had a very high rank at the time. However, our hero was confident in his abilities and had decided to confess his feelings towards the maid girl once they conquered the castle. They formed a team with some other members and invaded the castle with all their might. It was a ruthless battle ahead for them, but they managed to get through all the monsters living inside the castle, mostly thanks to Volts and his amazing powers. Our hero was congratulated by his team for pulling off the quest on his own, and they suggested to go back for reporting once it stopped raining. Things seemed fine till then, but suddenly, Volts sensed more demons and monsters gathering around the castle. He took in the view from the top of the towers and wondered why this was the case, but then a mysterious person approached him from behind and pushed him off the tower. Our hero managed to get a glimpse of who did this to him, and it was none other than the maid girl. He could not believe his eyes, but the maid girl simply said that she was following orders, and that too, without any regret in her eyes. Volts fell to the ground and had hundreds of demons in front of him, so he never really stood a chance. He wasn't even an S-rank hero at the time, so he realized that the maid girl was nothing more than a slave. He lamented the fact that he fell in love with someone else's puppet and got betrayed because of it. Luckily, he was rescued by someone and treated for his injuries, as can be seen in his condition the next day. Of course, Volts declared that he would never believe in anyone anymore, but the man who saved him said that it would be more manly to trust and be betrayed rather than not trust at all. This man was the Sword King of the area, and he protected a village surrounded by tons of monsters. Volts helped him with his tasks, but was still no match for the Sword King's powers. Our hero then trained with the Sword King and became more mature as he spent more time with him. His behavior would lead him to be treated as a hero by all the folks at the village, and he realized that he would always protect the village regardless of whether he would get betrayed. After all, he built a very strong relation with these people, as they would happily feed him for all his efforts, even though the Sword King was the main hero saving everyone from harm. So, no matter what his personal state might be, he would gladly risk his life to help those in need. Now that we know our hero's background story, how is it going to change the way his slave girls look at him? Will Elle and Selena reward their master with a treat tonight? And why is Jess revealing such a secret right now? Like, share, and subscribe if you liked this video. Hit the bell icon to get notified when I upload part 2. See you soon. There is a lot to learn from the story that Jess has just explained, and the demon boy says that it was this motivation that pushed Volts to fight demons and monsters in order to protect those who needed help. After spending so much time fighting overpowered beasts, he eventually reached S rank and became an unbeatable hero. Elle and Selena are unable to believe that their master had suffered such a difficult time before meeting them, and he still took them in. Selena feels very bad in particular because she had doubted Volts multiple times even though he was the one who saved her. Anyway, Jess tells the girls that they will need to become the support system for our hero if he is to get back on his feet. They obviously agree to this and even thank the demon boy for telling them this story. Now we move to the nighttime where Selena is taking a bath to clean her curvy body. She thinks about what her master had said earlier about preferring to trust and be deceived rather than doubting in the first place. She realizes that she does not fear Volts, but doubts him instead, so she decides on learning to trust him despite her inhibitions. She feels that if she has a word with her master, then things will become a lot clearer for the both of them. Now we see Elle about to enter her master's room, and she has intrusive thoughts about all the kinds of shady acts she is going to enjoy with Volts. However, before she enters the room, she is stopped by Selena, who asks her if it's okay for her to go inside instead of her. After all, she also wishes to act on her intrusive thoughts with our hero. The slave girl wants to take the first step towards understanding her master, so this is an important decision for her. Normally, a princess such as Elle would never allow such a thing, but she simply smiles and tells Selena that it's all right. The slave girl is shocked to see how easily she has agreed to this, but Elle realizes that Selena has something she wants to talk to Volts about. The slave girl wants to know how the princess girl was able to figure this out, but Elle simply says that she can read her friend's mind quite easily. This makes her feel nice and relaxed. But then Elle also says that if she doesn't get shady with Volts, then she will ruin her bed tonight. After all, Selena likes to go on solo missions, but she says that Elle has just spoiled the inspiring line she said before this. She says it's a joke, so she moves ahead and allows Selena to take her place for tonight. The slave girl thanks her friend and says that she is now going to take the first step towards unlocking her desires. She enters the room and our hero is shocked to see her, because he was most definitely not expecting to see her. She nervously asks Volts if he has the time to talk to her, but our hero turns it around and says that he too would like to talk to her about something. This is a bit puzzling to the slave girl, but then Volts reveals that he's managed to get his hands on some crucial information. It has to do with the people who betrayed Elle, so he says they will need to go on an adventure for it. Since Selena is not on the same level as he or Elle, Volts doesn't want to risk her life, so he says that he will leave her in the hands of someone who can keep her safe while they're gone. Of course, this is not what the slave girl wanted to hear, and she makes this known to her master, which surprises him. Selena does not want to be separated from him or Elle, so she says that she will also become an adventurer. She is a bit nervous because she does not know if she has what it takes, but Volts tells her that she can definitely become one of them. He feels that it would be great for Elle to have Selena come along with them as well, so it all works out in the end. Now that Volts is done with his chat, he asks Selena what it was that she needed to talk to him about. This makes her conscious, but she has to be clear with her master, so she decides to bear it all. Selena confesses that she has fallen for Volts, but he is shocked to hear this because she is supposed to be scared of men. Selena reveals that she is still afraid of males, but she loves Volts, which is why she will never be able to love anyone else apart from him. She also hopes that someday, Volts will also do shady things to her as he does with Elle. After all, she wants her mind, body, and heart to belong to her master, and now she has revealed her true thoughts to him. Our hero gets what she is trying to say because even he has come to like Selena. She is a bit confused to hear this, but it should be obvious that Volts would like a cute and curvy girl like her. He confesses that he finds her very pretty, and this makes her laugh without control, so our hero asks if he had said anything funny. Selena states that he looked like a child when he said this, which is why she started laughing. However, this is also one of the things that she likes about her master, so she gets into bed with him. Volts asks her if she is really fine doing such things with him, and she says yes, after which she asks him to hold her hand. Our hero offers his hand, which Selena grabs tightly, and then they get cozy with each other. Volts tells Selena that she can tell him if she is feeling scared, but she says it's fine because his hand feels very warm. She feels safe around our hero, and holding his hand reminds her of the time she used to hold hands with her sisters before they got separated. Selena feels that she might just be able to sleep this time without any nightmares, but right before anything else happens, Elle breaks into the room. She asks for how long Selena intends on keeping up this sweet, innocent chat, and it makes things awkward for both the slave girl as well as our hero. The princess girl reveals that she is feeling a lot of shady intentions, So Selena asks her for how long has this been happening. She reveals that she's been having intrusive thoughts right from the start, so it has become a problem for her. Of course, she also knows that her master's elephant will summon his trunk if he continues to have such a sweet chat with Selena. Volts tries to stop Elle from going any further, but it's too late as she takes off the blanket and reveals his hidden elephant. The trunk is standing quite firmly, so both the girls can't help but admire it while Volts feels awkward. He tells Selena that it's not what it looks like, but she's only thinking about the size of his elephant. Elle wants to soften the trunk as soon as possible, so she offers to get freaky right here and now. But Volts doesn't want to do such things in front of Selena. The slave girl also tells her friend to stop with her shady intentions, but she reasons that it needs to be done, otherwise Volts won't be able to sleep tonight. Selena says that this is only happening because Elle keeps touching his elephant, but our hero has had enough, so he says that everyone should get some sleep. The night passes by, and as expected, Volts has been awake the whole time, even while his two slave girls sleep peacefully next to him. Elle wakes up and wishes her master good morning, but she can see that he has not rested even one bit. He reveals that he was unable to sleep because he had to fight off all his intrusive thoughts. However, Elle thinks that it's amazing for Volts to be able to sleep with two cute and curvy girls like a real player. She even compares this to sleeping with two flowers of different colors in each hand. Of course, this is easy for her to say because she slept well, but Volts maintains that he is not the kind of man that women would hold feelings for. As expected, Elle does not agree with him and states that she and Selena are prime examples for him. The both of them have fallen for our hero because they were able to see his charming nature. This is something that Volts does not hear often, so he tells Elle that she and Selena should stay by his side from now on. This is not a problem at all for the princess girl because she wants to serve her master for as long as she can. As a matter of fact, she wants to prove it to him right here and now by acting cute with him. Just as she is about to lock lips, Volts reminds her that they can't get it on over here because Selena is still next to them. The slave girl even starts to say something, but she's still asleep, so maybe she is talking in her dreams. Elle asks Volts if they should change places, but he says that he does not want to wake up Selena just yet. Even he wants to sleep for a bit as he has not had any rest, but Elle reminds him that it's already morning. He further explains that he is unable to move because Selena is holding on to his arm, and this gives her an idea. Elle proceeds to do lewd things, so Volts asks her why she's behaving this way. She explains that she wants to get him in the mood, so she continues to awaken his intrusive thoughts. Our hero can't control his emotions any longer, so Elle attacks him with a mouth full of passion. As the princess continues to serve her lover boy, the both of them hear Selena talking in her sleep once again. She seems to be saying something about not doing shady things, but they don't care for such talk. Elle resumes her mouth attack, and it doesn't look like our hero can take the onslaught any longer. She goes on to explain that slave girls like herself are not treated like human beings in this world. After all, Volts should know that people trade them like tools, especially considering that he has bought 2 of them already. Even so, he wants Elle and Selena to be free, but soon enough, he ends up freeing something else as well. The slave princess is done with her service, and she comments that the release tastes nice during the morning. She comments on the texture and the taste of her master's material, but Selena continues to tell him not to do such things. The funny part is that even in the middle of such an intense session, our hero was thinking about making sure his slave girls can live a free life with him. This is exactly what an S-rank hero would say, even at a time like this, which is why we can safely say that the girls are in safe hands. Now, we move forward by 2 weeks, and we see Selena taking down a goblin with the slash of her sword. She is able to do this with ease, so it leads Volts into thinking that she really is a talented girl. After all, it usually takes a lot longer to be able to defeat goblins like this, so Selena catches up very fast. She gives all the credit to her master because he is the one who has trained her to become this way. As Volts and Selena have a moment, Elle is seen in the background, almost as if she is jealous. She laments that she does not have any sword skills, otherwise Volts would have been training her as well. We see her imagining a session of the training she could be getting from her master, and it looks more like a fantasy. Here, she is not able to find the right posture to hold her sword, so Volts tries to help her out by giving her a taste of his own sword. Of course, this is all in her head, so she can only dream about it for now while the other two ignore her. She does not like this attitude, but Selena maintains that she is training with Volts only to become a better fighter. She does not have any shady intentions in mind, so Elle does not mind. It's getting late, so Volts says it's time to go back home for some rest. We then shift to Jess, who reveals that he has found the trace that will lead to the ones who had betrayed Elle. It turns out that these people have taken a quest named the Fortress Gore as assault. Our hero is a bit skeptical upon hearing the name of Gore, as because it is a dead land. Such a quest would be impossible for someone at the ranks of these traitors, so it could be that the guild master has changed. Upon checking the details, we learn that it is indeed a rank quest, so nobody would be able to take it up unless they join a guild. Havalik tells the team that he will sort out the issue of a guild card for the girls by talking to a friend of his, but for now, he would like the team to take up a quest for one of his clients. This man happens to be Havalik's buddy, whose name is Haruto Suris. He is shown to be a buff man with a serious pose as he examines the people that Havalik has brought to him. He does not seem to like what he sees, so he confirms with Havalik if these are the people who are going to complete the quest. The reception boy tells him not to be rude, but Haruto does not believe in a man who roams around with curvy babes. After all, such a man will only have intrusive thoughts running through his head all the time, so there is no telling how reliable he might be when push comes to shove. Selena does not like to hear such things about her master, so she tries to talk to Haruto, but Volts tells her to calm down for now. He asks Haruto if this is his opinion, so he answers by saying he simply hates those who are weak. He wants to make a final call, so he tells the team to reveal their names and their ranks to him. Selena says that she is an E-rank fighter, while Elle states that she is a C-rank magic girl. Haruto is not at all impressed by the girls and comments that they are nothing more than small fries. He then turns to our hero and demands to know his rank, but Volts realizes that Havalik has not even told Haruto about his identity. This means that he's playing a prank on his buddy, as well as our hero, so Volts has to tell Haruto the truth once and for all. Not only does he state his rank, he also reveals his full name as Egil Volts, and this is more than enough to shock the buff boy. He makes a funny face and rushes to Havalik to confirm if Volts is indeed the real deal. After he gets the confirmation, Haruto rushes to our hero and holds his hands as if he is a fan. It turns out that the client is indeed a big fanboy of our hero, as he confesses his admiration for Volts. He completely changes his tone now and says that he's glad someone like our hero is taking up the quest for him. Volts manages to control his emotions and get on with it, but Selena is upset to see how selfish Haruto is. Elle laughs at the whole thing and says it just goes on to show how much of a big deal her master is. Now that the intros are done, it's time to talk about the matter at hand, which is the Fortress of Gore, as Volts wishes to know the details of the quest. So Haruto explains that it is a recent mission which has been assigned by the king known as Felistina. It is basically a move to expand his territory by getting rid of every single monster in the area. But it comes with a problem. The quest comes with a traitor, which means that one of the adventurers may just turn his back on the others and start taking their lives. Haruto has lost 3 of his teammates this way, and he still does not know who the culprit is. Volts asks him if a monster could be the cause of this mess, but Haruto explains that the adventurers were ended by weapons that could only be used by humans. If he is to consider the injuries which he saw on the teammates he lost, then he can safely assume that there are at least 3 traitors in the mix. One of the men had shot by an arrow, another one was taken down by magic, and the third one met his end via an axe. Recalling such unpleasant thoughts seems to affect Haruto, so Volts apologizes for asking him so many questions. Haruto is fine with it, but his main request is to find these traitors and take their lives. Jess asks to check the wounds on the teammates and match them to a weapon from the other teammates. But Haruto reveals that he's already done these things without any kind of success. Volts asks if he had looked into the guild cards, but Haruto says that if someone was afraid of being found out, then they would not share their profession. Our hero figures that the situation has become so messed up that talking will not solve the problem at all. All that's left to do is to jump into the fire, so he's up to the task. Volts gets into his brain mode, so Haruto says that he will go arrange for the carriage and the camping materials. Jess and Havalik help him out and ask the team to wait over here for now. Our hero believes that with a secret quest like this, he and the others can get closer to L's revenge targets, so it will be like hitting two birds with the same stone. However, he cannot ignore the fact that they will have to deal with an enemy lurking from within the team. This will prove to be even deadlier than a monster, so he tells his slave girls to be alert at all times. It would be better if they stayed by his side throughout the duration of this mission, because he does not want to take any chances. Of course, the girls don't take it the right way, so Elle says that she will sneak into her master's sleeping bag if he wants her to. Selena also states that she is willing to do whatever her master wants from her, but Volts tells the girls he's talking about their safety and not about the shady things they do with each other. Haruto comes to the scene and tells the team that he has made the preparations, so they are ready to go. We see the carriage outside, and it looks rather grand, but Volts and the girls need to hide their faces with cloaks, which seems rather odd. That's when Havalik reveals no one else knows about Haruto's team members getting ended just yet. This is why he wants them to keep their faces hidden, so as to avoid getting targeted again in case they get mistaken as Haruto's team members. Elle says that she does not want to reveal her identity anyway, at least until she meets her traitors again, so this is perfect. It's time to embark on this new journey, so the team gets into the carriage and sets off on their revenge mission. Time passes by, as the girls cuddle up next to their master and have a nice nap. But soon enough, our hero is able to see the fortress of Gore as. The girls also wake up as the triple couple is now at the land of revenge. The team discusses how to handle the sleeping duties, but the girls worry about Haruto passing out in another tent, as it may be dangerous. He doesn't seem to think so, because Volts is a man of the night, which means that he needs to have his private time with his slave girls. This causes the triple couple to get a bit awkward, so our hero tells his girls not to pay too much attention to what has just been said to them. Selena pays it no heed, and Elle simply says that she will give Haruto the benefit of doubt as of now. Now, the team stands in front of a massive tent, which is meant for a guild meeting. The rest of the people are already inside, so everyone decides to step inside without further delay. They are shocked to see how narrow and packed this tent is because there are way too many people inside. Here we see a night boy with a harem of cute and curvy girls by his side. His name is revealed to be Fabiola, also known as Fabio, and he is the leader of the Ruins Sale Decapitation Flash Squad. Fabio asks Haruto if he's joining the quest once again, and he mocks him for never learning from his past mistakes. Haruto simply says that he does not need to stand here and listen to such nonsense coming from a shady man like Fabio. The player boy notices that Haruto has come with new teammates, so he comments that if slaves break, then they can just replace them. As of now, Fabio's interests are rather shady, as can be seen in the way he treats one of his slave girls. Haruto is angered upon seeing this, so he scolds Fabio for calling human beings mere toys to play with. Selena is scared to see such a sight, and comments that men like Fabio are the absolute worst. Volts now gets why Haruto was being so skeptical when he saw him with Elle and Selena, because he must have thought that he ran into another Fabio. Our hero also notices one of the slave girls who has a very calm look on her face, thus setting her apart from all the other girls. Now, a man with glasses asks Volts and the girls not to come any closer, because Haruto needs to take a seat after his long journey. He is thanked for his concern, but he sure looks like he's going through a lot of stress. His name is revealed to be Relic, and he is the leader of the Elix Sarvest Panacea squad. Flash calls out Relic for being so nice to everyone, because he knows that he's scared of the traitor trying to come for his life. Relic tries to answer back, but is unable to do so in front of Flash's shady presence. Before he has the chance to say anything else, the tent sees someone new coming in, and he is as fat as a hippo. He is surprised to see so many people over here already, especially with such serious looks on their faces, and his name is revealed to be Gale, who is the leader of the feral squad. He looks at his slave girls outside, so he asks them what they're waiting for. Gale wants them to come sit down with him, and these slave girls are revealed to be none other than Luna and Sana. As expected, this comes as a huge shock to both Volts and L, because it's been a while since they last saw these girls. The princess girl wants to know how the twins got themselves involved here, but even Volts does not have any theory to support that question. Anyway, it's time for the meeting to begin, but it looks like there are some guilds that are still to come. We meet the bald leader of the Felestina Chivalric Order, known as X-Vane. He decides it's time to begin the meeting, and we also meet other leaders, such as Ryan from Serpent's Dream and Michaela from Treasure Sword. Volts wants to know if L's traitor friends are here, but she does not see any of them yet. The bald X says that they have a difficult quest to complete, so he'd like all of the squads to work together for this one. However, Fabio says that he is not anyone's comrade, and it's actually the bald leader's fault for making the quest so tough in the first place. X does not know what Fabio is trying to say, so the player boy explains that the bald leader simply wants all of the squad leaders to be ended in the middle of this quest, so that he can get a higher reward from the king. X finds this to be a silly idea because he is here at the behest of the king. He then turns it around on Fabio by saying he is the one who takes the lives of his comrades and even robs them of their money so that he can go and buy more slaves. Fabio remains calm and comments that it's rather odd for someone like X to be getting so worked up, so it comes across as suspicious. In the middle of this back and forth, Volts laments that he has found himself in the worst kind of quest. Suddenly, a girl walks into the tent and comments that there are a lot of weak dogs barking in here. Her name is revealed to be Levia, and she is told not to be so rude, especially because she is late to the party. Elle becomes alert as she sees Levia walking in with her squad known as Sunset's Bond. It's no mistake at all because these are the ones who had betrayed the princess girl and turned her into a slave. Fabio takes a look at Levia, but he doesn't find her appealing because she is a child. He tells her to get lost from here because the adults are talking, but she counters by saying she is 15 years old. She may not consider herself to be a child, but Fabio knows the laws of the land, so he tells her that 18 is the only acceptable age, so she has no place over here. Levia activates demon mode and tells Fabio that she is stronger than him, so he can test her out if he likes. It doesn't look like she's bluffing, so Fabio wonders what's up with this girl. Levia is then stopped by her team because they have been told not to make any trouble unless they want to be in danger. She agrees to this, but Elle has finally spotted her enemies, so she clenches her fists. The princess girl laments that these people have not changed even one bit, and our hero gets the confirmation that he needs. Elle goes on to name each of them, starting with the fur boy Mordred, the cute but shady Muslin, and the wizard boy Kurd. These are the people who had called themselves Elle's friends and still sold her to the slave traders. She can't believe that Levia and her team would forget about her so easily, and even laugh casually, as if they never even did such a thing. This is unforgivable, and she wants to take out all of this hatred and sadness out on the enemy right now. Volts fears that things may get out of hand, so he holds on to Elle and tells her to keep her calm for now. The princess girl realizes that she has let her emotions get the better of her, so she says sorry and composes herself. Now that all the guilds have finally made it to the meeting, the bald X is going to explain how they'll be going about this quest. The basic premise is that everyone is going to charge from all the 4 gates in pairs. If this is the case, then the traitor will be found quite easily as per L's understanding. Now, Haruto states that the treasure sword are here for the first time, just like they have also formed a guild without any prior experience. The chances of the people from that team being traitors are low, but still not zero. Volts notices that Sana and Luna are at the southern gate, but L worries about the twins being here with former friends. Haruto simply wants to get the job done, so he tells his team that they should get going. They meet the treasure sword squad at their gate, and Michaela decides to introduce her own team. There's the buff fighter Argot, the curvy Holland, and the spear boy Y who are together with her. Michaela is shown to be a sweet girl as she extends her hand to Haruto. He asks her if she is a part of the vanguards, to which she says yes and asks if he too is part of the same duties. He is good to go. But then he hesitates when Michaela asks about the rest of his squad. Volt saves him the trouble by saying that he would prefer not to reveal his occupation at the moment. Michaela is a bit surprised because she did not know that there was a rule to hide one's identity like this. Haruto awkwardly says yes, so she buys it for now, but also states that she will find out the truth sooner rather than later. Now we learn that the fortress has 3 areas and 4 gates, which are the northern, southern, eastern, and western gates, which are all enclosed in. Area number 1 is supposed to be a labyrinth, but if they follow the signs left behind by the people who were here before them, then they won't get lost. As they proceed into area number 1, the girls ask Volts why he did not reveal their jobs to Michaela. He says that his job is very special, considering the fact that he is an S-rank hero, so it would be odd to reveal his identity, especially because he is not the leader of the group. There's also the fact that he has not confirmed whether Michaela's team is the traitor team, so they still need to be careful on that front. Now we see some goblins showing up to attack the team, so Haruto prepares to fight them. The goblins launch an assault on Michaela and Haruto, so they don't hold back either. Normally, we would see someone like Volts putting on a splendid show to destroy all the goblins in a flash, but that is not the case over here. He decides to hold back, much to the confusion of his slave girls. This is when he explains to them that he wants to practice their coordination with Haruto. They will only take turns when the time is right, so they obey their master, while Haruto uses his giant sword on the deadly goblins. The battle rages on, and even though things don't look like they are getting out of control, our hero still feels that it is important for them to start fighting soon. Selena asks her master if they should start taking turns now, and he says yes. As of now, it's only Haruto and the others who are in the goblins' line of vision, so if someone were to switch places with them, then it would lead to the goblins getting startled. Basically, Volts wants to coordinate their attacks to disturb the enemy, so he tells Selena it's time to spring into action. The slave girl follows her master, but then L asks what she will be doing in this situation. Of course, since she does not have any battle skills, our hero asks her to wait for now, and she has no other choice but to do as he says. As they charge towards the enemy, Volts tells Selena to remember everything that he had taught her before, because it is going to come in handy over here. She says yes, although she does seem a bit nervous, but Volts tells her that she will be fine. He believes in her, and that's all that she needs to hear to gain the confidence to fight. As Haruto and the team fight the goblins, our hero makes his signal, and then Haruto vanishes from the scene. This confuses the monsters because they are now confused as to who is coming in his place. It's none other than Volts, who slices through the goblins without even breaking a sweat. Even Selena is able to land some blows, and she beats one of the beasts, so she feels she can do this. All she needs is to keep her faith in the methods that her master has taught her. The real fun begins now, as the slave girl unleashes her ultimate finisher move, called the Emptiness Round Dance. What follows is a tough display of skills as she manages to slash through all the beasts within the span of a few seconds. This is such a brutal move that even Haruto and the others watch on in amazement, because she definitely does not fight like an E-rank warrior. Selena looks at Volts and asks him for a few more pointers, but he says that she will learn a lot faster in the middle of practice, so she is doing well for now. There's also the fact that if something were to happen to her, then our hero would save her without a doubt. But Selena had already predicted that her master would say that. She knows that she can fight all by herself, but Volts is much more powerful than her, so it feels like foul play for him to always have her back. Elle decides to hop in, and she comments on how her master and her friend are having fun with each other. Our hero states that such a fighting style does not suit his princess girl, but she says that she is a vanguard as well, so she'll be fine. Of course, she makes a cute face while saying this, so we know that she is going to count on her master all the time. Now Volts tells Haruto that they should keep their formation like this because it seems to be working in their favor. The buff boy agrees with this logic, and then the team continues on their way through the castle. Time passes by, and the day is finally done with, so everyone gets out of the gate. Volts notes that the team can work together now as their attacks are in sync, so they can give it another shot the next day. However, nothing troublesome happened today, and the traitor didn't even make a move, so the coast isn't clear yet. Later, we move to the tents where some bottles of booze can be seen lying on the floor. Volts seems to be in some kind of distress, but it's not because of him getting drunk. Rather, it looks like Selena has had a bit too much to drink, and she approaches her master with shady intentions. She asks him if he looks at her with intrusive thoughts, so it looks like things are going to get very interesting. Selena asks Volts why he doesn't want to do unspeakable things to her, so he tries to reason by saying he thought she was scared of men. The funny part about this is that Elle is also right here, but is cheering Selena on, much to her master's shock and surprise. She even tells him that he should not leave his slave girl high and dry, so he wonders what kind of twisted cult he has created for himself. Selena tells Volts that he keeps doing shady things with Elle in front of her every day, so now she wants it as well. She can't be teased anymore because she craves for this pleasure a bit too much. Of course, this is highly unlike what Selena usually behaves like, so it's time for us to go on a flashback to see how it led to this. A few hours earlier, Volts and his slave girls were heading back to the camp, but they were all covered in blood and sweat from the battles against the monsters. Elle even said that she wanted to take a bath as soon as possible, but then Selena brought her attention to a cute white rabbit roaming around the grass. She didn't know if such a rabbit would like to bite people, so Selena figured that the princess girl wasn't too good with animals. Anyway, the rabbit hopped away, so the girls could only comment on how cute it was, and then they came back to the camp. Over here, Haruto called out to our hero and gave him 2 bottles of the local liquor as a gift. Volts wasn't too sure about taking these gifts, but then Haruto explained that he had many more bottles with him. After all, he intended to share those with Michaela and her squad. Volts had taken these bottles back to his slave girls, and Selena had immediately identified it as shachu, was something her parents used to make. Elle has never had anything like this before, so she wanted to know if it was tasty. This caused Selena to smirk and laugh, after which she made fun of Elle for not having tasted liquor, even though she was 20 years old. The princess girl was not going to just sit there and take it, so she made fun of Selena by saying she had at least experienced what it was to be a woman. As a matter of fact, she told Selena that she does it every day with her master, whereas the slave girl was still living in innocence. Of course, she did not mean it with spite, but she clearly struck a nerve on Selena by saying this. Our hero did not want things to get ugly, so he suggested taking a glass and having a drink each. The girls did as he said, and the triple couple ended up enjoying some booze with each other. It didn't take long for Selena to get drunk, and then she started to call out Elle for what she had said earlier. She even called Elle a shady girl for doing shady things with her master, and stated that she too could get what she wanted from Volts. Elle got drunk by this time as well, so she dared Selena to see if she really could do that. She even made things more intense by revealing that Selena sneakily watches her, and Volts going at it every night for her own desires. Despite this, the slave girl did not make any progress, so Elle called her out on that. Of course, this was not something that Selena wanted her master to know, but it was a bit too late for that. Volz had realized that both his slave girls became drunk, so he suggested for them to go to sleep. But that was when Selena ended up grabbing his arm and demanded him to embrace her. Now we are back to the present where Elle has passed out, but Selena is still awake and in heat. Volz doesn't know what to do because he is sober as of now. But then Selena says that she wants to move forward with him. Our hero does not know what she means, so the slave girl explains that she wants to get closer to him. After all, he was the one who saved her from the slave trader. He was the one who saved her from her previous master. He taught her how to fight and defend herself. So he is the one with whom she has fallen in love. Selena hugs her master with tears of joy in her eyes, but she still seems to be shaking due to her fear of men. Our hero points it out to the slave girl, but she does not care about any of that at this point. She brings up what Elle had said about them being so close to each other, which is probably why Selena has not made her move yet. However, now is the time, so Volz asks her not to regret what she is about to do with him. From the looks of it, Selena is bursting with intrusive thoughts, and she can't control herself any longer. This leads the lovers to hug each other and engage in shady and unspeakable acts. We also learn that Elle is only pretending to be asleep so that she can check if Selena really has it in her to get with her master. Volz figures that his intrusive thoughts should not get in the way of Elle's sleep, so he tells Selena that they should step out to resume their shady activities. This is not good news for the princess girl because she was hoping to get a nice show for a solo mission, similar to how Selena has been enjoying herself. Our hero even tells his slave girl that they will have a beautiful session, as the stars will be reflected onto the lake in front of them. Selena calls him a romantic, but Elle sulks all by herself without any action. Now, the new couple steps out to enjoy themselves in the open forest, and Volz proceeds to lay his maiden bare on the grass. Selena is a little shy because she is showing her curvy body to her master for the first time, but he makes her feel at ease. He becomes very sensitive as the shady acts begin to have an effect on her, and then the smell starts to get to her. Since this is something that she likes a lot, she wants to get closer to it, but she is shy as well. Soon enough, her desires get the better of her, so she hugs Volz and tells him that she would like to make a confession. She feels he might find it strange, so she wants him not to judge her for it. Our hero is not that kind of man, so he tells Selena that she can be open with him. This is when the slave girl reveals that she likes to smell his manly scent while they are getting freaky. Volz realizes that no one is ever safe from intrusive thoughts, so he asks Selena if she likes to smell his elephant as well. She says yes because it's very steamy and does all kinds of things to her senses. Of course, things should not get awkward, so Volz tells Selena that he will allow her to sniff him, but only under one condition, which is for him to sniff her as well. What follows is a rather intense session that ends with Selena's mouth full of joy. It's time to get down to the final act, so Volz wants to tease his slave girl first. He asks if Selena went on solo missions while watching him and Elle, to which she wants to say yes, but she has a look of innocence on her face. It looks like Selena does not want to reveal her shady nature, but our hero knows how to play these games, so he says that if she does not unleash her intrusive thoughts, then he will not give her what she wants. This makes her panic, so she says that she does indeed like such twisted acts and wants to be taken instantly. Volz continues to tease her for a bit, and this drives her up the wall till she is unable to take it anymore. Our hero asks Selena once again if she went on solo missions while watching him with Elle, and she finally says yes. However, he makes her say it again, but louder, so that she can release the energy that has been building inside her for so long. This is when Selena finally admits to solo missions each and every time that she saw her master with the princess girl. The smell had a strong effect on her, so she just could not control herself. Now that she has finally said what Volz wanted to hear, she begs him to turn her into a woman because the feeling is starting to take over her body. She wants his elephant to vanish inside her black hole, but he wants to take his time so that it doesn't overpower his slave girl. He asks her to tell him if she gets hurt or anything like that, but Selena is not going to have any problems with it. What's really creepy though is the fact the white rabbit from earlier is watching them with shady intentions. Soon enough, Selena is turned into a woman, and the night stars begin to shine brighter than ever before. Now that her desires have been satisfied, we move to the second day of the quest, where Haruto and his team work closely with Michaela's treasure sword to get rid of all the goblins right from the first gate to the second. Their teamwork looks proper, as they are able to slash through all the monsters without any hassles. Despite this, Selena knows that the demons are only going to get stronger if they continue going through different levels. Keeping this in mind, it would be nice to have their coordination synced up to be faster. Elle states that in such a situation, Selena would not be noticed by the demons so easily because she takes a lot of time to speak up. The slave girl acknowledges this and says that she will need to get better at that. Volts notes that while Elle may be sick and twisted when it comes to the bedroom, she also has great skills for analyzing situations. In the middle of the mission, our hero and his team is interrupted by the bald ex who comes with bad news. He informs everyone that Fabio has been attacked, and it looks like the work of a traitor. Michaela does not get what this means, so Haruto explains to her that there is an imposter among them who is out to wreak havoc. Volts also takes note that the traitor has finally started to act on their evil plans to sabotage this quest. Of course, they need to know what exactly happened over here, so they ask one of Fabio's slave girls to describe what they saw. She explains that Fabio's team and Relic's team were together when they were trying to get back to the maze, and it was all going well until something went terribly wrong. A black fog appeared out of nowhere and left everyone confused without sight of what was happening. They had waited for the fog to clear, but by the time that happened, they could hear Fabio screaming for dear life. After they could see clearly, what they found was the player boy's body on the floor in a terrible state. They did try to give him emergency aid, but it was all for nothing because he had passed away by then. The event seemed to add up, but no one is able to figure out what this black fog really is. Relic states that it did not have the same effect as poison, and could only make one's vision go away. He looks really scared as he says this, so the others ask the team members if they were able to see who did this. Sadly, no one could land their eyes on the culprit, and by the time the fog cleared, nobody from the team looked suspicious. Gale takes this chance to speak and says that there was someone who had probably attacked this team from another gate. It should be crystal clear by now that the traitors were not the ones with the victims. One of Fabio's babes reveals that it could not have been anyone from his team because they are all his slave girls. Since slaves can't harm their masters, the only ones who could have done it would be from Relic's team. Relic does not know how to defend himself, so Gale says that there could be a lot of factors needed to find the real traitor. However, as of now, it's Relic's team that's the most suspicious of the lot. Everyone agrees with Bale on this, but Relic goes into a mad rant where he says it couldn't have been him. He babbles about the culprit being someone with another job who could have fired from a distance. This leads Levia to say that if such a power did exist, then it would have to be someone at an S rank level. She then says that there could be someone over here who fits within that description, and she looks at Volts. The others are in disagreement over this because it is not the right way to go about finding the real villains. Anyway, the bald ex thanks everyone for their inputs and says that it's late, so they will decide on what to do the next morning. At the tent, Volts asks Haruto if the traitor is going to use the black fog to get to them. The buff boy honestly has no idea what may happen, because up until now, the traitor would only target people when they were alone. This time was different because they could hide within the black fog, so as to avoid being seen by the others. Our hero figures that the traitor is getting braver by the moment, which means that he and the girls will have to be even more careful moving forward. He asks Haruto what's his take on the black fog, but the buff boy is quite clueless on the matter. Volts lets it be for now, but he feels that Haruto is hiding something from him. He discusses this with the girls later inside the tent, and that's when the white rabbit from yesterday shows up. All of a sudden, it calls out to our hero by his name and asks him to come to the lake. This is quite shocking for our hero and his slave girls, so this could be a trap. However, Volt states that if such is the case, then it shouldn't be a strong enemy he'll be up against. Even so, he decides to take some corn with him, and then he follows after the white rabbit that hops away with magic. Soon enough, he finds a girl sitting next to the fire, and it turns out to be one of Fabio's slave girls. More importantly, it's the one who caught his eye earlier with her neutral expression. She calls out to him by his name, so he says she might have found it out through the rabbit. He did keep his identity a secret, so the girl admits that she is a tamer who was able to get this info from the rabbit. The rabbit's name is Elizabeth, whereas the slave girl's name happens to be Phi, who is a teenager. Volts wants to know why she has called for him to come here, so she says that she wants him to provide for her. He is a bit confused to hear this, so Phi explains that she is going to make him her new master. Normally, this should not be possible, but Phi seems to have the ability to free herself from her slavery. Our hero is shocked to see this, so he asks her why she wants to do this since she is already Fabio's slave. Phi explains that she was able to learn the trick to release herself from her slave collar, and she has figured that she will be better off with him. Volts asks her why she would think that, so she explains that Fabio had asked her to investigate Haruto's new teammates as he had become suspicious. This led her to use the white rabbit as her spy to find out that Volts is an S-rank hero. Our hero asks her once again if this is really what she wants, because she does not need to be a slave if she has the information needed to free herself. Phi knows that Volts is talking about living on her own, so she says that it's a pain to do so, which is why she wants the comfort of being a slave to someone like him. She tells our hero that she does not like to work at all, and she likes how slaves can just get food and shelter without having to do anything. She presents herself in rather risky fashion, and this renders Volts somewhat defenseless. He tells Phi that even if such was the case, Fabio would have made sure to rough her up while she was there as his slave girl. Phi takes offense to this because Volts is implying that her body is not in demand. Everyone in Fabio's harem hated getting nasty with him. But when Phi saw Selena with our hero, she seemed to be enjoying whatever was happening. Volts argues that love is something that both parties enjoy, but Phi is not sure if such a thing even exists. She does not really care about love, but she does want to know if Volts would be willing to take care of her. Of course, Phi wants the easy way out, but our hero knows that if he says no to her now, then she might end up in the hands of another shady master. Keeping this in mind, he feels that it would be wrong to let Phi end up in the wrong place. With that, he throws her a corn cob and says that he will become her new master. Both Phi and her rabbit jump at the corn cob at the same time and break it into 2 pieces. They enjoy the snack, and Phi states that Volts is a nice man, which is why she would like to tell him something useful. He wants to know what it is, so she reveals that it's the traitor's identity. It's time to go back to the main camp, where we learn that the Treasure Sword, Serpent's Dream, and Decapitation Flash squads have all left the quest. That's when we see the bald leader X thanking the other survivors who have decided to stay back despite the obvious risks. However, there is one person who still remains from Decapitation Flash, and it's none other than Phi. X asks her if she is fine with this, and she says yes, after which we also see Volts, L, and Selena right next to her. This implies that Phi has changed squads, but there are other matters at hand, so X talks about making new pair assignments since they are 3 guilds down. This does not go down well with the others, and they ask for a reason behind this. One of them happens to be Relic, who nervously says that he does not wish to work with other people, especially when there is a traitor among them. Levia also raises her hand and says that each of them serves a different purpose over here. She would like to avoid acting out of fear. But this amazes Volts because he never knew that the other people over here had an actual purpose. Levia continues by saying they should be able to protect themselves as they are adventurers who will take risks only when it makes sense to do so. X sees the sense in this, So he declares that each of the guilds will act as per their own accords. The bald leader can only wish the others good luck. And then we move on to Fi, who makes an introduction to Haruto with her rabbit. Of course, he was not expecting to see someone from Fabio's group over here. So he asks what's going on. Volts vouches for her and says that she is a tamer, so she will be able to help them catch the traitors. Haruto gets it, but says that Volts should take care even if that is the case. Our hero says sorry for taking Fi without telling Haruto. But then the slave girl asks him if he is not going to tell Haruto what they had spoken about the other night. Volt states that he does not want to reveal the traitor's identity to Haruto just yet because the news may upset him. Now, Selena makes an introduction and tells Fi that she will be a great addition to the squad, especially with Treasure Sword no longer in contention. However, Fi continues to stare at Selena, so she asks her if she has something on her face. Of course, Fi is imagining how Selena was when she let go of her modesty with her master. She eventually does respond to Selena, but her gesture is misunderstood. Anyway, Volts asks Fi if she knows where the other guilds are, and she says she is keeping a watch over them via her phoenix bird. Relic and his guild are at the eastern gate as of now, while X and Bale have reached the southern gates. Elle's main interest is Levia and her Sunset's Bond Guild, which consists of her traitor friends, so Fi reveals that they are at the western gate. With that, Volts decides that they should get to the second gate as soon as they can, and Haruto agrees with him because if they get attacked here, then it will be too narrow to fight back. Elle states that she would like to meet her friends one last time because she needs closure before they meet their end. On their way, they find tons of goblins, which annoys our hero, so he uses his endless sword attack to get rid of them. All it takes is one blow to end all the goblins, and everyone looks on in shock and amazement over how powerful Volts is. Now the team continues on their way, and they eventually find the gate, so they cross it instantly. Upon entering, they figure that this is the second gate's area, which used to be the dorm area for soldiers in the past. At this very moment, Fi gets an alert from her phoenix, and she informs the others about traitors appearing at the eastern and southern gates. Haruto is shocked to learn that the enemy has appeared in multiple areas, but Volts tells him not to get distracted because they might get attacked over here as well. Just as he says this, the team gets surrounded by the evil shadows and Selena calls out to him. Volts figures what's going on, so he asks Haruto if he recognizes this fog. He is unable to believe what he is seeing because it's the same fog that his buddy Leonardo used to deploy. Our hero instantly realizes that this is the power of a weather master, and then he asks Haruto if Leonardo has joined the quest. Of course, that can't be possible at all because Leonardo has already passed away. Haruto is struck with grief, and he falls to the ground over the regret of losing his buddy. After all, he too was a victim of the traitors. Now, in order for us to understand what's going, we are taken to a flashback where we see Fi and Volts talking about the traitor. Our hero wanted to confirm if Fi knew about the traitor's identity, but she said that she only knew half. This was obviously a bit confusing for him, so his new slave girl explained that she could not find the traitor's human form. This implied that the traitor could be a monster, but the injuries on the victims all looked as if they were made by a human's job power. Fi said that the power used on the victims was surely that of a job, so it got Volts thinking. If this was the case, then the only logical explanation was that the traitor could be a monster who had the ability to use job powers. However, Fi corrected him by saying she meant to explain that the ones attacking were monsters, but the one pulling the strings from behind was a human. Our hero figured it out and stated that the one with the powers was a human who was then bestowing his powers upon other monsters to do their bidding for him. Fi agreed with his logic and even admitted that the traitor could be a superior tamer than her. However, if the traitor was simply an A-rank adventurer, then he would only be able to control lower and medium-tier monsters. In this case, the ranks of the monsters were higher, which could only mean one thing. Volts then came to the conclusion that the traitor was exactly like him, an S-rank adventurer. Now, We are back to the present, where the team is still getting covered by the fog and Haruto is losing his will to fight. He feels that since he was the only one who survived the traitors' attacks earlier, it could be that his lost team members are coming back for revenge. Of course, this is not the case, so Vols tells him to get a hold of himself. However, his words fall on deaf ears as Haruto simply asks for his friends to forgive him for his weakness. He is still riddled with guilt, as he holds himself responsible for letting all his guild members lose their lives, and the fog continues to grow thicker with each passing second. Soon enough, Volts is not able to see anything in front of him, so he calls out to Haruto and asks him to talk to him. There is no response over there, so our hero calls out to L, Selena, and Phi to see if his slave girls are all right. They all seem to be fine, but the problem is that they can't see anything either. There's no time to waste, so Volts asks L to use her sacred beast of the wind to get rid of the fog. She does as her master says and summons her aerial bird to save the day. The beast gets to work instantly, and as L instructs it, the aerial bird uses a gentle breeze to get rid of the fog, while also making sure not to harm any of the other team members. The fog starts to clear soon enough, but Haruto is nowhere to be seen anymore. Volts calls out to him, but then Phi reveals that her Fenrir cat saw Haruto running away in the same direction they came in here. This is fine to our hero, because it would have been a bad idea to let Haruto stay here anyway. Of course, it would be nice to have an animal to keep an eye on Haruto as well, so Phi sends her Fenrir cat to do the job. Now that they are in the clear, Volts asks Phi if she could see the man who created the fog in the first place. She reveals that she did manage to catch a glimpse of the culprit, who happened to be an ogre. This is a very powerful monster, so Volts wants to know why he would come to attack them like this. Phi reveals that the ogre only came here to see her master's face, because he too is an S-rank fighter. Volts figures that the enemy knows of his identity, even though he has tried to hide himself from the common view. He then asks Phi what's happening with the other guilds, and she explains that they are entering the houses in order to evade the ogre's attack. The sun is setting, and Elle could also need some rest for herself after using the aerial bird, so Volts suggests getting some rest in one of the buildings over here as well. Elle takes this chance to rest her head on her master's body, and she acts as if she is really exhausted. She even asks our hero to carry her, but Selena gets jealous and asks her master to leave Elle as she is. Of course, the princess slave knows that Volts would never leave her alone, but then Phi states that it's a pain to walk so much. She would like to be carried by Volts as well, but both Selena and Elle instantly say no to her. The princess slave even laughs as she says this, so Volts figures that she just wants to have him all to herself, although he also seems to suspect something else. Anyway, the team seeks shelter in one of the buildings, and they stay there till it's night time. We see Elle looking out of the window with seriousness in her eyes, and then she hears someone approaching her. As expected, it's none other than our hero, but Elle is shocked to see her master coming towards her. He says that she does not have to act so stiff in front of him, but this surprises the princess slave. That's when Volts reveals that he could see through Elle's cheerful act in front of Selena and Phi. He knew that she had some kind of darkness around her earlier, so he asks Elle if she is nervous about meeting and confronting the friends who had betrayed her earlier. This makes her emotional, but she maintains that Volts and Selena are with her, so it's a blessed time. However, she reveals that she and Selena had been thinking that after being saved by Volts, they both were rescued and peace was brought back into their lives. However, if their master was to be taken away from them now, then it would be like their worst nightmare coming true. Of course, Volts springs into action and engages in an emotional act with his princess slave. He then tells Elle that he would like to apologize for making her display such a painful expression. Our hero then promises that he would never let Elle be alone, no matter the cost. This makes her very emotional, so she hugs her master once more, but also maintains that if he shows her so much passion, then she will only want to crave him more. She begins to act playfully, which gives our hero some relief as she is finally back to her normal self. They decide to indulge in some friendly behavior and act out their intrusive thoughts. But Volts asks Elle to keep it down because he does not want to wake up Selena or Phi. Elle doesn't care about that, as she does not mind showing the other slave girls how much she loves her master. After a rather passionate session, Elle promises that she will definitely come back to her master and her other slave friends, both of whom are shown to be wide awake thanks to the noises from before. She tells Volts once again that she loves him, and the couple embrace once again. The next day arrives, and we can see the phoenix bird flying high up in the sky to watch over the other guilds. It gives Phi the message that these guilds are being attacked by the ogre at the other gates. This alerts the others, especially when Phi mentions that Elle's revenge targets are also being attacked. She goes on to state that the twins Luna and Sana are in danger as well, so Volts does not want to waste any more time. He tells the team it's time to spring into action, and then we shift to Luna and Sana, who are in a spot of bother at the southern gate. They panic as they see their own guild member being ended in front of them, and they hold on to each other for support. We then see the massive size of the monsters attacking them, and none of the other fighters are able to match their strength. Things aren't looking good for the twins, and then we shift to the western gate, where Elle's targets are also running away from the monsters. They are without their leader Levia, who seems to be the only one who can put up a fight against these monsters, so the cowards can only run for their lives as of now. Isekai'd is asked to stop the beasts with his magic, so he tries his best to do so. He takes some time to chant a spell, but soon enough, he launches an onslaught of fireballs at the deadly beasts. He is able to land a direct hit, so the team thinks that they have things under control. But that is most definitely not the case, as the fireballs could not even leave a scratch on the monsters. One of these beasts lands an attack on Mordred, and he is barely able to defend himself before he falls to the ground. The team is now cornered by the monsters, and it does not look like they are going to make it out of this alive. They panic helplessly as the monsters prepare their finisher moves on them. But just as the final blow is about to be dealt, we hear Volts in the background. He unleashes his endless swords on these beasts, and this causes a distraction from the target group. Our hero goes on to fight the monsters in impressive fashion as he shows off all his sword skills. It's one slash after the other for him as Volts takes down multiple monsters without even flinching. His brutal assault leaves no survivors as the ogre monsters lose all their heads, and our hero stands in front of the target group, looking like an alpha male. Of course, these cowards have never seen anyone as strong as Volts their entire lives, so they thank him for saving them from certain doom. Of course, our hero did not do this out of the goodness of his heart. And then we hear Elle stepping into the scene. She says that she's glad the monsters didn't get to end her friends because she is the one who is going to do it. The group gets scared when they see Elle in front of them because they had thought she was sold off as a slave girl. Selena and Phi also come to the scene, so the group is very confused. They can't figure how Elle has made it to them over here because she is alive and well. Of course, the princess slave only comments on how long it's been since they've seen each other. She's glad that her fake friends remember who she is, and she asks them to rejoice over their reunion. The group becomes nervous, so they try to act friendly in front of Elle by saying it's a good thing for her to be back. Of course, she does not think of this the same way, so she asks them if this is something to be so casual about. Her words strike fear into their hearts, but Volts can't stick around over here because he also has to save Luna and Sana. He tells Elle that he's leaving for now, so she tells him that she will surely make it back to her master. Selena then steps in and says that she will make sure to return Elle to Volts, and even Phi is interested in these cowards, so she also offers to help out the princess slave. With that, Volts rushes to save Luna and Sana, but also tells his 3 slave girls that they must return to him. Elle knows that she is not alone anymore, and for the sake of her happiness, she is going to end it all right here, right now. The cowards don't see an out for them, so they try to play nice by asking Elle to hear them out. They even say that they did not intend to betray her, so Elle asks them who it was that gave them the order. That's when she learns that the main villains were Sariella and Misha, who happened to be her sisters, just as she had suspected. Seeing the look on Elle's face makes the cowards feel like they have a chance, so they say that their own families were taken as hostages, so they didn't have any other choice but to do as the sisters told them. They even say it was very hard for them to sell Elle off to the slave merchants, so they ask her to make up with them and let it all be in the past. Of course, she is not going to be fooled so easily, so she mocks the cowards by saying they should definitely make up. Elle proceeds to say that they should all just put their hands together in a round like old times. For that, the cowards will need to drop their weapons, but they don't want to do that because it could be risky for them. They prepare for combat, so Elle mocks them by saying there is no need for weapons if friends are just trying to make up with each other. As expected, all three cowards take fighting stances and get ready for a battle, so Elle declares that she is truly happy to see this. After all, her fake friends decided to be cruel people right till the very end. Now, all the fake friends attack Elle at the same time, because this is their only way out. Elle gets ready to come to terms with what happened to her, and then Selena shows up to protect her from the first strike. She takes on Mordred, who has no idea about her, and then we see Elle summoning her aqua dragon to take on Muslin. Even Fi goes on to attack Kurd, who manages to block her kick with his staff. Now we shift to the fight between Selena and Mordred, which is quite intense. He asks her why she is getting herself involved with Elle, because this should not concern her at all. He tells her to get out of the way, but Selena is not going to back off right now. She says that Elle is her best friend, and she likes to see her smiling, so Mordred should be the one to get out of the way. Of course, he does not care for such emotions, so he proceeds to attack Selena, and says that she is also a slave just like Elle, so she should behave like one. His attacks seem to get the better of Selena as she struggles to keep up with his moves at first. Mordred sees an opening, so he unleashes his cross-cut move on Selena and is able to land a strike on her. However, despite getting hit, Selena remembers all the training that Volts gave her and says that even though she is a slave, she is still a human being. Mordred loses his patience, so he tries to attack Selena once again, and also tells her to shut up and kneel down like the slave she is. He even goes on to say that both Elle and Selena should be crawling on the ground. This pushes Selena over the edge, and she decides to land a deadly strike right into Mordred's stomach. He is pushed back, and now Selena has the advantage, so she declares that Elle and she will always stand and move forward so that they can return to their true master Volts. Mordred simply says that Selena is having the dreams of a slave, and he tries to land a finisher blow on her. However, Selena manages to get one over him and directly strikes Mordred in his chest right through his armor. The coward boy spits out some blood and starts to fear for his life. But this is the end for him. Selena says that if a person hesitates, then he will lose everything, just like how it happened to Mordred. She does not want to lose anyone she cares about, which is why she has emerged as the victor here. Meanwhile, Vi is also fighting Kurd, but the shady wizard does not know why she is against him. She explains that she is only interested in the girls, and not in revenge because she does not see the point of it. Kurd says that if Vi knows this and still wants to fight him, then she is only a fool. She is just the kind of person he hates, which is why he decides to use his magic powers on her. However, he misses his attack as Vi is able to dodge his onslaught. At first, there is only smoke everywhere, so Kurd believes that he has blown up the slave girl. However, she shows up from behind him and says that if she could see for herself the use of getting revenge, then she would gladly take the opportunity. Then she lands a high kick right onto Kurd's chin and gives him a world of pain. He is unable to believe that such a small girl could land such a high kick, so it looks like he might be in trouble now. Despite this, he feels that he has a strong chance to finish her off, so he chants yet another spell and tells Vi that he is going to finish her off now for getting too carried away. The shady wizard unleashes a whole barrage of ice needles onto Vi, but she is not bothered by this. Instead, she states that if revenge can make Elle and Selena feel happy, then even she would like to feel it together with them. The slave girl goes on to unleash her own fighting skills and is able to destroy all the ice needles within a few seconds. She then states that the mutual feeling of happiness with the girls is the main reason why she is fighting Kurd right now. The shady wizard can't believe that Fi was able to crush all of his ice needles, so he wonders what kind of girl she really is. Now, Fi unleashes her phoenix upon Kurd, and that's when he figures that she is a tamer girl. He doesn't know how to counter all the animals that she is going to use on him, but this is not even her main move. Basically, Fi uses her phoenix bird as a distraction and charges from underneath it in order to land a surprise attack on Kurd. The shady wizard figures it out, but it's too late for him because Fi has already reached him. Now she uses her moon wolf attack and lands multiple blows on Kurd at the same time. Now that his body has been weakened, Fi decides to end it all with one final blow, which happens to be her Gale Breaker attack. All it takes is one direct strike, and she manages to end Kurd with ease as he falls to the ground bleeding right out of his face. Fi signs off by saying she is not at all interested in Kurd because he is a worthless person, just like she is now. She bids farewell to her opponent, and that leaves us with Elle and Muslin, who asks the princess slave why she came back after all this time. She simply says that she has not come back here for anything other than to say goodbye to the friends who betrayed her. This situation brings back a lot of memories for Elle, so she thinks about her time as a princess in her kingdom. She was the daughter of the king, which was why she had to meet with a lot of people even when she was young. Since all of them had fake smiles, she would be very worried about them as it would make her uneasy. Then she found Muslin, Mordred, and Kurd, all of whom truly looked like people who would genuinely laugh with her. She felt like she could open up to this gang and be real with them, but all of that fell apart when they put the slave collar on her neck and betrayed her. Now, we are back to the present where Muslin unleashes some attacks on Elle. She tries to mock the princess slave by sarcastically saying that she is great to have come here just to say goodbye. She then reveals that she has always hated that extra kind attitude of Elle because it made her feel inferior. The princess slave has to counter Muslin, so she uses her aqua dragon to unleash a water pulse attack. The shady traitor is able to dodge this attack, and then she tells Elle that she has been adventuring enough with her team to make a living in the kingdom by herself. By that logic, she does not see herself getting beaten by a princess who is an adventurer for fun. Elle reveals that she never had any ideas of fun when she had joined the team because she simply wanted to grow with Muslin and the others. The aqua dragon continues to spray water all over the place, so the traitor girl makes her move, while also admitting that she was always thinking of ways to end Elle. Now, Muslin vanishes from sight. But the princess slave knows that this is a technique known as runaway that allows the user to shorten their distance with super acceleration. Elle figures that if Muslin really intends to take her life, she will probably try to stab her in the heart from behind. After all, a coward will always remain a coward, so Elle even predicts that Muslin will use the Flying Shadow Chronicle attack. The shady traitor tries to land an attack on Elle, but since she already knew this was going to happen, Elle uses her aqua dragon to attack her from the side. Muslin is just about able to dodge the attack, but she loses some of her clothing in the process. She gets annoyed, so she tries to attack the aqua dragon, but this is clearly not a smart choice. The aqua dragon unleashes yet another water attack on the shady traitor and is able to smack her down with ease. Muslin is barely able to recover from this blow, and then Elle walks up to her with the aqua dragon right next to her. She then declares that this is how she is going to bid farewell to Muslin, and it looks like the whole ordeal is finally over for her. However, Muslin says that she can still see the same attitude on the princess slave's face, and she really hates it. Elle, on the other hand, comments that Muslin is smiling right now, just as she had done back then. The traitor girl is a bit confused to hear this, but then she learns that Elle is referring to the time she was handed over to the slave merchants. She was trying to ask for help, but Muslin simply kept her mouth shut with her cloak while she kept laughing at her. The shady traitor reveals that it was very hard for her to hold back her laughter at the time because she got to see a princess who was always clear in the head, now twisting her face and crying in such a situation. Elle is sad to hear this, but she continues to come closer to Musline, which is what she wants her to do. She says that the moment Elle comes within her range will be her last, and then she charges at the princess slave with her dagger, still thinking that she has a chance. Of course, the aqua dragon is waiting for her and gobbles up Musline right in front of Elle's eyes. She can still see the traitor girl struggling in the water, so she says that she never asked to be born as a princess. She also does not want to be trapped in her past anymore because she wants to live her life in peace with the people she leaves. This is why she wants Musline to go away once and for all, and she continues to scream out her wish again and again while the traitor girl drowns till her last breath. Eventually, Elle has to be stopped when Selena puts her hand on her shoulder and reveals that Musline has been ended. Fi is also right behind Elle, as she witnesses her fake friend's body floating within her aqua dragon. However, if this is the case, then Elle does not know why she is still feeling so sad about it. Meanwhile, we see Volts, who is done taking down more monsters. He can sense that Elle must have been done with her revenge by now, but then he senses someone rushing towards him. A girl bumps into our hero while saying sorry, so he asks her if she is all right. The girl turns out to be Luna, who is just as shocked to see Volts as he is to see her. Our hero asks Luna where Sarah is, and this causes her to start crying in front of him. She begs him to go help Sarah, which means that she is definitely in some kind of trouble. Now, we move to a flashback where we see both Luna and Sarah in hiding from the monsters. They talk about whether their master Gale will be okay because he had run away and leave them here. Luna feels bad because she also ran away and left the knights to deal with the monsters. But Sarah says that her sister's life is more important to her than anything else. She feels that they are better off anyway because she had also promised their mother that she would protect Luna as the older sister, even though there wasn't much of a difference in their age. It was a strong promise. But the problem was Gale, who also happened to be the father of the twins. He would blow up all the quest money on shady women and booze, so Sarah would scold him, but to no avail. Gale only wanted to enjoy himself because it was apparently hard for him to deal with his own wife's health. However, Sarah did not buy into his shady act and simply stated that he was done for. Now we move back to the first flashback where Luna asks Sarah if it was a bad idea to follow their father here. She does not know if there is a right answer to this, but they do need the money to buy medicine for their mom. Suddenly, Sarah can hear a monster growling, so she pushes away Luna to protect her from the attack. That's when the monster strikes the building and Sarah is made to bear the brunt of the damage. The priest girl falls to the floor, and we can see the beasts from before staring at the girls with deadly intent. Luna asks Sarah if she is fine, but she tells her to run away from the scene. After all, the real problem is that the monsters must have already ended the knights if they've made it here. Luna tells Sarah that she is not going anywhere and leaving her sister alone, but she is told that she needs to hurry up while she still can. Sarah is going to fight these monsters as much as she can to buy time for Luna, but this makes her cry. Sarah tells her that she needs to listen to her big sister and get out of here now. After all, no one will be able to take care of their mom if the both of them are ended here. Luna finds it hard to do this, but she eventually leaves and tells Sarah that she will come back with someone to help her, so she needs to just hang in there. Now it's just the priest girl and the monsters, so she kicks things off by attacking them with her light bombing Angel Nova. She lands a direct hit, but it's of no use as the monsters are not affected. Sarah tells them to leave her sister alone, as she is not the type to get her hands dirty. She then calls upon the holy light for healing, and says that she is also not that type of girl, but she will still deal with the beasts. The demon beast swings his club at Sarah, and she is able to dodge it, but just barely. She goes on to mock the monsters and says that they will not get anywhere if they are so impatient. Sarah goes ahead with another light bombing attack, but it's of no use as the demon beasts continue to attack her without even letting her finish her chance. Things are not looking good for the priest girl, as she is running out of breath and time. But there's not much else that she can do. If even one attack touches her, then she will be done for, and then we see the monsters stomping the ground. Sarah comes to the realization that she is no match for these beasts, so she will just have to accept her fate. At least Luna was able to escape the scene, so Sarah is happy that she was able to stall the monsters, if not anything else. As the demon beasts prepare their final attack on her, Sarah calls out to her mom and says that she managed to protect her little sister. She wishes to be praised by her mom, but then she hears someone else saying that she really is a good sister. Sarah knows this voice, and then she sees Volts standing right in front of her in all his glory. As expected, he uses his endless sword attack to stop the monsters with ease, and then he looks back at Sarah as she realizes who her savior is. He is glad to have made it just in the nick of time, and then he pats Sarah on the head for doing a good job. She becomes emotional and holds on to our hero for comfort, after which even Luna makes it and grabs her big sister out of relief. The both of them have countless tears in their eyes because they didn't think they were going to survive this. Of course, Volts has made sure to leave the monsters alive for now because he knows that he can talk to the traitor through them. He calls out to the main villain, and this shocks the monsters. Volts then asks him what his purpose is in harming and ending the lives of innocent people. There is fear in the eyes of these monsters as our hero looks straight into them and says that he will not allow this to carry on any longer. He has had enough of the mess that this traitor has caused, so he is going to be there to see him soon. Volts even says that he is going to chase him down, so he should just sit back and wait for him. In a surprising turn of events, our hero decides to call back his move, so he withdraws all the swords from the monster. They are surprised by this move, but since they are being controlled by someone else, they decide to walk away from the scene. Volts observes them and realizes that they are going to the third gate, which means that the traitor is going to be over there inside the castle. He has his own mission to carry out, so he tells Luna and Sarah to wait for Elle and the others to come and get them. When all of this is over, he wants the sisters to tell him exactly what is going on with them. Luna understands this, and she also asks our hero for his help. Sarah does not want her to trouble Volts any longer, because they do not have any money to pay him for his services. Our hero has no issue in helping the girls, but Sarah says that this attitude is of no good to them. After all, if they take advantage of him once, then they will continue to do so again and again. She wants to compensate Volts for his services, so she asks him to do her that much of a favor. If he does not do this, then she will not be comfortable asking him for help. Luna consoles her sister, and then Volts gets to thinking about what he should take from the girls. He then realizes that there is one thing that he can ask from the girls, so he calls out their names and says that he will make them both his slaves. Of course, this makes Luna become nervous, and even Sarah asks what he means by this. That's when Volts tells them that he is taking away their freedom, so that they can't act recklessly on their own any longer, and the girls take a moment to consider this offer. Of course, this does turn out to be ideal for them, so Sarah says that she will become our hero's slave girl. She goes on to seal the deal with Volts and asks him to love her as his woman. Of course, her actions make Luna a bit too shy, so she asks Sarah what she is doing. She says that this is what needs to be done in order to become a slave girl, and this makes Luna realize that such actions are needed to make a slave contract. Sarah goes on to explain all the different things that a slave girl will get to do with her master, and this makes Luna very excited. Keeping this in mind, she also decides to become our hero's slave girl and gives him a cute little peck on his cheek. Now that they are done with the contracts, Volts says that they will talk about what to do next when he comes back. The girls are fine with this, but they tell him to promise them that he will come back safe and sound. Volts makes his promise, and then he takes off to deal with the traitor in a rush. As he charges towards his target spot, our hero tells us that no matter how many times he may ask the girls to let him help them, they will not allow it because they would feel bad about it. However, if he binds them as his slaves, then he can protect them as part of his duty. With this out of the way, He now has to focus on getting rid of the main problem, which is the traitor. He follows the trail of blood that was left behind by the ogres due to the injuries he gave them. As expected, this trail leads to the castle, and Volz enters it, after which he comes across a staircase that goes up. On top of that, the trail is also going upwards, so the culprit is clearly waiting for our hero. Volz goes up the stairs, and soon enough, he reaches the top and comes across a shady figure. Our hero prepares his sword to fight this traitor, but it turns out to be Relic all along. He gives a shady smile and shows a whole bunch of plants that can help relieve stress and anxiety. Of course, now we know what is making Relic so charged up, and he even says that he is not going to hand any of it over to Volz. Our hero realizes everything, but he finds it hard to believe that Relic would risk his own life and take the lives of others just to protect these plants. That's when he figures that Relic is not the man he is after, and then a monster shows up from behind to attack him. Volz is able to dodge the attack, but Relic is not so lucky, and he gets chopped off in an instant, even though he is still enjoying the smell of the plants. Now, a girl from behind says that she is glad to see that Volz was able to spot her presence so quickly. Volz takes one look and declares that the traitor all along was none other than Levia, the leader of Sunset's band. Now that her identity has been revealed, Levia is asked about her intentions by Volz. She says that she wanted to meet someone like our hero, but this confuses him. He asks if she is interested in him because he is an S-rank hero. But Levia says that her main interest is because Volz is one of God's chosen, who is a leader vessel. This term is not something that Volz is aware of, so Levia comments that there are limits to what an adventurer can achieve. On top of this, there are only a select few heroes who can achieve S rank. Keeping this in mind, she wants to know how Volz was able to do this. Our hero takes out his holy power stone and says that he simply collected experience with his battle history, and he also threw the power stone into the lake of the gods to give him jobs and make him S rank. Levia makes sense of this statement and states that if the lake of gods can simply give so much power to an adventurer, then the amount of energy in itself must be really high. Levia then says that she will control the lake of the gods and become the most powerful entity in the world. Volz says that Levia will make an enemy of each and every adventurer if this is the case, but she does not care about this at all. With that, Levia goes on to summon a whole bunch of monsters, and all of them show up in front of Volz. Our hero can see that Levia's main power is to summon monsters, and that's when she reveals her true name to be Heg Arietta, also known as Ari, the leader of the monsters. Basically, Volz sums it up as Ari being the queen of the monsters, but he has other problems in front of him. There are tons of demon beasts in front of him, and Ari asks him if he can really take all of them on with his endless sword attack. Volz wonders if he is being evaluated right now, but Ari says that she is not in the mood to fight him today. She just wanted to talk to him and decides to go home as of now, but our hero is not going to let her leave so easily. He is about to use his endless sword attack, but then the entire monster army comes in front to protect Ari. This confuses Volz because he does not know if Ari is manipulating these monsters, or if they are moving on their own because she is like their family. He hesitates because he is unsure of the emotional connection between Ari and the monsters. The queen of the monsters also takes note of this and states that our hero is a kind one. In exchange for his kindness, she decides to give him a reward and drops a bunch of power stones. Volz correctly guesses that these are the power stones of Haruto's comrades from his earlier guild, and then Ari decides to tell him something of use. A massive dragon shows up to become her ride, and then she says that as of this moment, the world of humans and monsters is going to change drastically. Because of this, a man of great power like Volz is sure to be swallowed up in the whirlwind. At that time, he will have to choose which path he has to take to protect the ones he loves. Based on prior experience, it definitely looks like he is going to do this as a leader's vessel. Of course, Volz is still trying to wrap his head around the fact that the world is going to change. But then Ari says that at the epicenter of it all will be her true guild, which is known as Pandora's Demise. With that, She bids farewell to our hero and refers to him as a selfless leader as she flies off into the sky with her dragon. As he sees Ari flying away, our hero is greeted by El and his other harem girls. The princess slave calls out to him and says that she has kept her promise of getting revenge. Volts is pleased to see El in a new light, and he welcomes her back with a smile. She is also delighted to finally be back with her master, so she hugs him out of joy. Of course, there are all the other girls as well who are watching this romantic gesture. And then the skies clear up for the sun to shine brightly upon this new group. The slave girls ask Volts if Ari was actually the traitor all this time, but he says that she is something beyond that now. As a matter of fact, she is their enemy now, which makes the girls wonder what's up. Volts now goes on to explain everything that Ari had told him about wanting to rule the world with the Lake of the Gods, so everyone is worried about her intentions. Keeping this in mind, Selena asks Volts what he's going to do now. He simply says that he only wants to protect the people he cares about, who are the people he loves. This means the entire girl gang consisting of Elle, Selena, Fi, Luna, and Sarah. Elle says that such a line is very typical of our hero because of his kindness. Now, he asks if his harem girls will stay by his side, and Elle happily says yes until the end of time. She seals this promise with an affectionate display. But Selena does not like how the princess slave sneakily got herself a nice little session. She decides to get some attention of her own, because even she wants to be with Volts forever. Of course, the other girls are still new to this, so they choose not to do anything shady. Sarah seems to like what she sees, but Luna is unable to imagine such love even existing. Fi, on the other hand, just calls everyone shady, and then our hero decides to have a word with the sisters. He tells them that they should talk about everything that's bothering them, and there is no need to hold back anymore. They happily say yes, and then Volts tells Fi that she is also welcome to do the same. The tamer girl mainly wants to be fed, so it seems that all is well from the slave girls. However, there's still one more thing to care of, as Haruto is nowhere to be found. Fi uses her tamer skills to locate Haruto inside his tent, so Volts goes to meet him. Haruto is in bad shape, as he apologizes once again for leaving his guild with such a daunting task, and then running away on his own. Volts says sorry as well, because he did let the traitor Ari escape. Haruto says that this is not our hero's fault, so he says that it's also not Haruto's fault using the same logic. He then gives the holy stones that Ari had handed over to him, and this makes Haruto emotional as he recognizes them. Since they belong to his comrades, it's only fair for Haruto to give them a proper send-off in the form of a funeral. He cries and thanks Volts for what he has done, but he says there is no need to mention it. With this, the quest of the Gore AI Fortress's assault has come to an end, although at a great cost. Now, Volts and the girls sit down for a delicious meal, but our hero comments that his family has grown by a lot in just a few days. This means that they will not be able to fit into his house anymore. The girls agree with him, and then he says that if the world is in a state of crisis right now, then it does not make sense to continue the same way as before. After all, he needs to protect what matters to him, so Sarah asks if he wants to go into hiding and operate from the shadows. However, Volts says no to this idea, and says that they can't carry on as adventurers anymore. Fi does not get this because they should be protecting each other, not going out into the open. That's when the tamer girl also says that they simply need to get more members on their side if they are to get the job done. Volts agrees with this logic and says that they must establish a guild first, because no one will ever trust them if they are not a recognized body. Sarah is impressed to hear such an idea, and she likes the concept of being part of a guild. Luna also says that it would be fun, and explains that the original meaning of guild used to be family. Sarah then suggests making a guild that would be full of slave girls. Of course, such a name would not send the right message, so our hero suggests using a name that is more suited to the general public. As the girls continue to argue over the name, Volt says that as long as a large number of people live in this guild, then no one will be able to steal their peace. Elle seems to figure out what her master is trying to say, and even he agrees with what she is trying to suggest. He takes a look at the fortress in front of him and states that he is going to build a new kingdom for him and his harem girls right here in this fortress. This does seem like an uphill task, but if you really think about it, this sounds like the perfect plan. With the Battle of Gore AI finally being ended, repairs to the castle and the city went underway right from the moment the completed mission was reported. Things were going well for whoever entered the area and engaged with each other, but the main problem remained the population. Only about 100 adventure citizens had gathered over here in this much time, and we can see that Elle wants to do other things apart from rebuilding the city. Our hero calls Elle shady for luring him away, while everyone else is doing their best to make do with the fortress. The princess slave simply says that she could not help herself as she has not been able to act on her intrusive thoughts with him ever since he became a part of the rebuilding process. Since she has said this, Volts decides to give Elle an extra surprise gift, and she is more than happy to receive it. As she finishes up on her shady intentions, we see Selena entering the room to ask Elle if she has seen Volts anywhere. Of course, she has now walked into a rather intense session, so she asks the princess slave why she is doing such things. She tells her master that the merchants are coming, so he needs to tend to them. But Elle complains that she was about to do the same, so Selena has ruined it all. However, work is important and Selena can't have our hero going into a meeting with a pillar, so she takes care of him to make sure that he has clarity of thought when he is with the merchants. As she walks out of the room, Selena notices Sarah doing her best to clean up the space, and she comments on how much she has grown over time. However, Elle walks in and notices that there is something on Selena's lips, so it makes her very upset. Even Sarah wants to know what Selena was doing behind closed doors, but she simply changes the topic. Now the girls discuss the meeting today and wonder if it will go well because everyone else has said no to Volts so far. Luna is shocked to see that their plan would be so hard to enact, but Phi says it makes sense because they don't really have a lot of people right now. Now we shift to the actual meeting between our hero and a merchant who is reading his proposal. He says that these are very rough conditions and explains to Volts that even though he is an S-rank hero, it won't help his case with a merchant. After all, he has to look at the profits, and they don't seem feasible with the current model. He also brings up the point that they need more people, so this meeting does not go too well either. The girls talk about it while making food, and then the meal is laid out for their master. Volts comes to the table, and then Phi asks him if they got rejected again. This is a rather blunt way of speaking, but Volts does not have a problem with it, and says that it's mainly because of their low citizen count. Phi decides to come up with a suggestion, which is that they should try to get people from places that have too many of them. This is a good idea, but Volts does not know where to find such places. That's when Phi reveals that she is from the continent of Shupi Lur, where people have been fighting each other for years. On top of that, there are some people who are just unable to live normal lives in that area. If our hero were to try, then he would be able to save these people and bring them over to his own kingdom. Volts sees sense in this, but then the demon boy Jess appears and says that they need to think this through. As a matter of fact, he has heard that the continent of Shupi Lur is filled with thieves, but Phi says that she had heard the same thing about the people of this land. Our hero is asked what he would like to do in this situation, so he says that he simply wishes to act. His main goal is to secure the future of this country with his own hands, so his entire team is on board for the plan. Jess decides to join forces with Volts and states that they will need a ship if they are to travel to Shupi Lur. He will have it arranged by the next night, and then the reception boy says that he will ask some of the adventurers to protect the country while Volts will be away. Our hero is fine with him taking care of guarding duties, and then Phi says that she will also come along with Volts because he will need a guide to help him around the place. The ship gets arranged, and it's time for our hero to leave with Phi, so he says goodbye to the other slave girls. Elle and Selena also tell him that they will be waiting for his return, and then Volts takes his leave. What new adventures lie in store for our hero? Will he be able to create a new kingdom with his slave girls? Like, share, and subscribe if you liked this video. Hit the bell icon to get notified when I upload part 4. See you soon.